Kolar, a city in Karnataka, is in existence from the 4th century onwards. Kolar was also part of many other dynasties, including Cholas, Hosalas, and Vijayanagara. Moreover, it also has a mention in the Indian epics Ramayana and Mahabharata. Kolar is an excellent weekend getaway with many tourist attractions. The Kolarama Temple, the Someshwara Temple built by the Cholas and expanded during the Vijayanagara period, the Koti Lingeshwara Temple dedicated to Lord Shiva, which has a staggering collection of over 60 lakh Shiva Lingas, including one which is 108 feet in height, is believed to be one of the highest in the world. Not just this, Kolar is synonymous with gold. The now defunct Kolar gold fields is believed to be world's deepest gold mines and one of the oldest as it has a history of mining since the 5th century. At the moment, Kolar is one of the largest milk producers in the world. And what makes it a best tourist destination is that it has one of the best AQI among cities in India. Adding to the list of tourist attraction is the brand new Zion Hills Golf County. It hosts PGTI this week in a challenging 18-hole golf course designed by the legendary architect Ronald Freem. Expansive granite shells, rusty boulders, and abundant lakes interweave with the rolling greens to create a course that will challenge the best golfers in India and abroad. Which is why the best are making the heroic entry into this week's Kolar Open 2025. The second round was only completed today morning due to heavy downpour towards the end of day 2. Nepal's Subhash Samang, Gurugram's Dhruv Shuron, and Chandigarh's Jairaj Singh Sandhu were tied second. Olympian Udayan Mane fired a course record score of 5 under 67 to seize the lead.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the penultimate day of the Kolar Open powered by Zion Hills. This is the 16th event on the PGTI of India's calendar, and the players this week are playing at the coveted Zion Hills Golf County at Kolar, Karnataka. The golf course is playing to very tough conditions. The leader on the board right now is Hani Besoya. The weather is at 25 degrees centigrade with a lot of winds on the golf course. It also rained yesterday, which led to a lot of rain delays for the players. And a lot of the field, about 30 players, had to actually come down the next day to finish off. Hani Besoya is off to a flyer start with 5 birdies and a bogey on the first 8 holes. Shaurya Bhattacharya makes big gains with 3 birdies on the first 7 holes. And Udayan Mane holds steady with 3 birdies and 2 bogeys on the first 6 holes. I'm Rahul Bajaj, your host, joined alongside Mr. Rao, who is a coveted sports journalist. Joining me over here, Mr. Rao. What do you think? How do you think the day is headed? And the leaderboard there in front of us now, and you're familiar with most of these names, owing to your background as a journalist. How do you think the days over the next couple of days are going to shape up today and tomorrow?
First of all, a big, welcome to all our viewers, and thanks for having me on the show here. Uh, First of all, well, already we are almost halfway through the final day. I mean, the penultimate round here, and what we see is that there's a lot of change atop the leaderboard. How it ended last evening, or rather, to be precise, the unfinished round got completed this morning, and we had just one sole leader, which was a change from how it looked yesterday evening when rain interrupted play. So it started with Udayan, and then, of course, since then, Udayan has lost his spot at the top. It is like Honey there, And what we have seen so far, Rahul, is that on the front line, people are, I think, trying to just kill the course because the conditions on the front line is quite different than those. Once you take the turn, things are likely to change. So that's why I think people are trying to attack the pin more, and you've got a mixed result there. Somebody like Honey, after starting from the par, he just took off with a par, but from the second hole, which is a par five, which is probably one of the easiest par fives you are going to get. That is one hole where I think most of the players try to go straight away for a birdie early in the day. But well, so far, Honey with five birdies in succession, which was interrupted by, there you are, he's 29 years of age, plays right here in the NCR region, and fantastic start for him. And let's not forget, he was a day one leader, so he's back to where he belonged at the end of day one.
That's the two of us over here from the studios, Mr. Rao and myself, an eminent journalist. I'm in really elite company today, and the stuff happening on the golf course right now. We've got Honey Besroya leading the way with 5 birdies on the trot from the second to the sixth. Of course, a mean feat on this golf course, and we see Shaurya Bhattacharya at 3 under par through that front nine. So it's definitely looking like players are trying to catch up on the shots on the front part. The back nine, as I've heard, is a pretty tough side of the golf course, and flanked by bent grass on this green is what I've heard. And the greens are playing very, very phenomenal this week. As I spoke with a couple of players right this morning, as we take a look on the screen, we see Mohammad Azhar coming up on the 11th and knocks that one in. No trouble for him.
Talking about the green, I think this is one of the most picturesque sights you'll see. Every blade of grass looks manicured. It's just fabulous to be there on the course, and no wonder the players are just loving, like where they've reached this week.
Mr. Rao, as we spoke a little earlier before we started off, you have had the chance of actually being at this course, right? Unlike myself, who hasn't had that experience. As we take a look at Shaurya Bhattacharya on the 10th, coming up onto the green. Flag on the 10th hole today is perched up at 9 inside from the front and 15 from the left, which leaves it to be a pretty tucked in front position.
In fact, Shaurya is the new leader as we speak, because Honey has dropped a shot on the 10th, which is a par 5. And now that leaves Shaurya, sole lead. He leads by 1, -5.
It's Shaurya Bhattacharya playing alongside Dhruv Shoran today. Dhruv seems to have wavered his shot out there onto the right side of the fairway. I'm speaking with the tournament director, Sampat Chari, there in the cart. The 10th hole is a par 4, all of 418 yards here at Kolar at the Zion Hills Golf County. Prize purse this week is of 1 crore rupees, ladies and gentlemen, whoever is just about joining us. We are here on the outskirts of Bengaluru, about an hour and a half drive away from the city, as we take a look at the third player in this group coming up from what seems like a hazardous shot, what might have been. Kshitij Navedkar coming up from the left side of the fairway. Kshitij, who has a very peculiar golf swing. He has his own engineering behind it. Kind of like what some people would call India's own Bryson DeChambeau's version. He couldn't really quite spot the ball there, but windy day, as you can tell. You don't want to be caught up in loose clothing at this time. You'll be flying away all over the place.
And Rahul also, because if it's a headwind, then your club selection comes into play. It won't be easy, as we can make out. It's low. The wind is quite low today, so it's going to be tough. A lot of scores which we've seen on the front nine, it'll be tough to match for most of them.
As you can see over here, the wind on this particular hole is playing left to right downwind, as I can tell from what the grass is doing. And in left to right downwind, for the players, it is very difficult to be able to stop the ball on this kind of a flag location. Just 9 inside from the front portion of the green. and you're coming off right over the hazard. So the hazard's kind of out of play. But to be able to control the spin and to be able to stop the ball close enough to make a birdie becomes quite tough. And that's why we see such challenging scores out there. Shaurya leading at 5 under par through 2.5 rounds, and that's kind of unheard of in today's day and age of professional golf, pretty much. So you can well imagine what hard conditions must the players have to go through.
What a sight this is, right? It's absolutely scenic.
That's Dhruv Shoran there on our screens, 30 years of age, plays from the DLF Golf and Country Club. Turned pro in 2018, has been a top professional golfer, has also won on tour, so multiple winner on tour. Dhruv coming up there, does his pre-shot routine. It's as if he's trying to avoid that club from hitting him. That's also sort of a practice swing or a practice move that Scotty Scheffler also practices quite a bit. Dhruv Shoran, what appears to be a wedge in his hand, what must be also a wedge in his hand, with left right downwind. If you're in play, you've probably gone above 300 yards or so for these players. Let's see if Dhruv can stop this ball close enough to the hole. Unfortunately, that will come up short of the green. Looks like he will have to contend with a tough up and down there, coming up from the short side. And just when I said that it will be tough for the players to miss it short of the green, Dhruv Shoran attempting and doing the tough ones.
I mean, see the wind. My God, it can almost take the flag off the cup. It's really windy there. And also a word about Dhruv. This time he's had a pretty ordinary first half of the season so far, but in the second half he looks slightly better. I mean, if you just look at his form this season, from 11 starts he's missed cut 4 times, but in the remaining 7 he has had 4 top 10 finishes, and that is fabulous. It shows that he's in touch, he's hungry, and he wants to make things happen on the course.
So luckily, I've had the chance to have spent some time with Dhruv of late, and can tell you he's just been struggling a little bit with his game, and he's really trying to get out of it, as you can tell, and he is uh, even on a tough course like this, where the conditions are pretty tough. He's really trying to hold his own, and it's very tough during struggle sometimes that you're able to hold your own. I think, and that's what Dhruv's really showcasing extremely well, and mark of a true champion, I'd say. It's always good to be playing well. Then it's very easy to shoot the good numbers. But when you're not playing so well, then shoot the good numbers. That's really the key to being a good player.
Yeah, I think he brings in a certain amount of confidence, because in the last 3 events, he hasn't done too badly. He's earned about 80 plus thousand in each of those weeks. So at least with something, I mean, he's at least making the cut, and he's feeling that his game is not too far from the best. So I think it is just about stringing 4 good rounds, and he'll be right up there.
Absolutely. This is the penultimate group on this penultimate day. The 3 players in this group are Dhruv, Shaurya, and Kshitij Naved Kaul. Dhruv trying to size up that shot that he has right now. Looks like he is pretty much caught between the lip of the bunker and the thick stuff over there. In the middle of something between a rock and a hard thing. It's also going to be a little tough to stop, because coming up from that sort of a grass and then be able to stop that quite tough. And did I just see a ball whisk by that flag on the other side? Or was that a shooting star? It indeed was a golf ball. Looks like Kshitij Naved Kaul coming up from the other bunker, which seems to be far away from the green, but doesn't seem to have done quite what he would have expected to have done with that shot. Now, the notable scores on the course today: Tapendra Ghai at 4 under par through the first 12 holes. Unfortunately, that's Dhruv Shoran. He sculling that one up to the other side of the green. It's like not easy pickings from that sort of a rough, owing also to the thickness of the rough and the toughness of the greens. I think it just makes it all the more hard. Shaurya Bhattacharya has played himself to the fat side of the green, as one would call it. I'm not body shaming the greens, please mind you. It's just the size and the side of the flag that one needs to be playing to. Shaurya coming up from the right side. Seems to be poised up for a birdie opportunity. Bit far away from the hole. An attempt nonetheless. Shaurya has quickly emerged to be one of the top players on the PGTI. Just playing his second season on the tour. That's a nice birdie attempt there by Bhattacharya. So we take a look at the golf course. Shaurya Bhattacharya, all of 22 years of age, plays from ABPLIVE Delhi, which is the Army Environmental Park and Training Academy. Turned pro in just 2024. You can still pretty much call him a rookie on tour.
He's 22, and he has shown a lot of character here. If you just take a look at what happened yesterday. Yesterday on the par 4 eighth hole, he had a 9. Now that is excruciating, but still he ended up finding a par score at the end of the day. So he was looking good. But then yesterday itself, he had as many as 7 birdies on this course. On day one, he had 4. Yesterday it was 7, and this time he's had almost a flawless card so far. 3 birdies on the front 9, and looking for more.
Yeah, it's nice to see players in a tester condition here at Kolar. In fact, I'd say a lot of these players, they would actually live for such moments to be able to play in such tough conditions. If we take a look at Nepal, Subhash Tamang. Subhash plays a lot of his golf out of the Zion Hills County. Teeing off on hole number 10, the 418-yard par 4. Someone coming from humble beginnings in Nepal. Subhash now is a formidable force for golf in India, and of course a name to be revered with for golf in Nepal. Not quite happy with that tee shot. Should be okay though. We've got Jairaj Singh Sandhu. Jairaj also led the tournament, I think on the first day, if I'm not wrong, Mr. Rao, momentarily. Currently at 1 over through the turn, and a total score of 2 under par for the tournament. Very much within striking distance. Shaurya, who leads the tournament, is at 5 under par. So, you have a lot of players right now who are out there, at least 10 or 12 names. Anyone till even par right now is very much within striking distance of the leader. In fact, I'd say probably even further down than that. It'll be just a couple of birdies before you know it, you'll be near him. Jairaj Singh Sandhu, a very peculiar way of taking that pre-shot routine. One of the longer hitters and one of the few left-handed golfers that we'd find on pro tours across the world, in fact.
A word about the 10th hole here. This is a dogleg right. It's a difficult tee shot because it has bunkers and hazards on both sides of the fairway, and the green is designed with a large bunker, which is it's guarding the front with the left side bordering on the hazard, and also the flag on the left side of the green. If it is so, then it makes the approach shot. It actually intimidates you when you are there with your approach. So this is quite a testing hole. So it just remains to be seen how they're going to negotiate depending on the position of the pin.
Olympian Udayan Mane on the screen. Udayan, who had a stellar showing last week, ended up losing the tournament in the playoff to Yuvraj Sandhu. We take a look at him teeing off with a 3-wood here on the long par 4 10th. Going to that left to right downwind though for a dog leg to the right actually makes the hole to be a little bit easier for the players, as the wind can catch it and then help you sort of propel that much further. Didn't hit quite the shot that he would have wanted to hit. Udayan Mane coming off with a rough start on that front 9. 2 birdies to begin the day, and then has just been all colors on that front 9. Been bogeys on hole number 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Kind of like the number of birdies that a player would like to make, but unfortunately coming off the rails a little bit. Hopefully, Udayan Mane at the turn now will be doing things in a better fashion. 34 years of age, coming from Pune. Turned pro in 2015. I've had the privilege of playing with this lad many a time, and believe you me, he's not going to back down that easily.
And of course, what happened last week, I'm sure he wants to make amends from being the second. He wants to improve his position by one. And he's right up there.
Kartik Sharma on hole number 11. Another left-handed golfer. Really, just when I had to say that not many left-handed professional golfers out there, we see two of them back to back. Kartik Sharma making a really nice long putt attempt over there on the 11th hole. Currently at a score of 1 under par for the tournament. Manu Gandas there eyeing up his putt. Just nothing short of a tiger. Manu Gandas coming up here on the 11th hole. The 11th hole here is a par 3, all of 158 yards. But owing to the winds, a difficult flag location here to get to for the players. Pins perched up at about 16 in from the front and 10 from the right. That's the picturesque 10th hole there on our screens here at the Zion Hills Golf County. We take a look at Mohammad Azhar. Mohammad Azhar, who's playing alongside Sri Lanka's Enthangaraja and Vasu Sehgal. Well, looks like his ball was stuck way deep into that rough. A tough shot for Mohammad Azhar, but looks like he's done a pretty good job out of that. He's trying to use that slope to get that ball back. Unfortunately, it's gone there and just sitting there like a pretty butterfly. Windy here. As you can tell, the flags are moving around so much. It's looking like it's nothing short of links golf. But it is not links golf. Vasu Sehgal. Seems like he's asking for the pin to come off. Doesn't need some. Vasu Sehgal turned at 4 over par through that front nine. Unfortunate 10 that he made on hole number 6 has led to that. Started off pretty solidly actually. Has made 7 pars, 1 birdie and an unfortunate pentaple on the 6th hole. He's made also 2 pars on that back nine. He's chipping up here on this 12th hole. Apologies, the 12th is where Mohammad Azhar hit that shot out of the rough. It's a 366 yard par 4 with all that downwind. I think players must be getting up pretty close to the flag. That's a stellar shot there by the third playing partner Enthangaraja, who comes in all the way from Sri Lanka. And that's it, just a little knock it, tap it in kind of par for Enthangaraja, pretty much daily's business. As I now welcome Mr. Shivasnath on to the commentary.
Thank you, Rahul. And
Welcome, Shiva.
thank you so much. It's good to be back in the hot seat. And yes, as my good friend Rahul was mentioning, it's some pins are tucked in pretty tight today, and I think the breeze is up as well.
It's very windy today, and the worst part is that it's pretty low. So that's why things are going to be difficult because the club selection comes into play, and considering that the back nine here is where I think most of the fairways are a little narrower as compared to those on the front nine. So again, the accuracy from the tee becomes the key there.
Absolutely right, Rakesh. The narrow fairways, particularly on the back nine, the first 3 or 4 holes are very challenging, and also the large size of the greens. Because if you're on the wrong level, You're typically in, as most of us club members, our buddies say, you're in three-putt zone all day.
Well said. And here also, on the domestic tour, you don't see people getting to play on such greens. I think these are really fantastic greens, although they haven't been used as much. So the experience of playing on these greens, and I'd like to love to just go back to all these pros who've been there this week, just to get a feedback on how they felt, because this is the first pro tournament on this course. Picturesque sites all over, very well. It's like very well done, and for those behind the course, for them this has been a great a week, because their dreams have come true. And um and the scores, of course, last month we had one event from the ladies tour here, where the winning score was par, and the men haven't done too badly here, because they have, at least the leader is now on -6, the best score that we have seen on the leaderboard after day one. Briefly on day one, we saw that the players were enjoying the front nine, and thereafter the course had its revenge. And by the end of the day, we had the leader at -4. Yesterday, also the same story. And now, as we are in the second half of day three, we see the leader sitting with a two-shot lead at -6.
No, you're absolutely right, Rakesh, because I think the last couple of events, the scoring was very, very low, very, very deep, and well, personally, it gave a lot of people a very false sense of what kind of scores are being put out there. And I briefly remember thinking about the fact that it was kind of playing a lot like a Nintendo Wii game. And this kind of gives it a lot more parity, a lot more reality, and it's really nice and heartening to see that a new track, set up by Ronald Freem, who's a tremendous designer, is providing challenge, and also it is something that I'm told makes players think. And here we have a view of the Super Tracker. It's a great new addition to the telecast that we're delivering to our viewers. Nice slow-mo action, forward weight press, great delivery of club ball. This certainly, Rakesh, makes it a lot more fun for viewers as well too. It's beautiful. Super Tracker is really a great addition to the telecast. Well done, PGTI. This is really good stuff. And you can see a lot of these boys are hitting irons of the flighting it, keeping it low, because the wind gets up pretty high. The trees are still not that tall. It's a young, new course. Very unique shapes on these bunkers. Very floral, very aesthetic looking.
Dotted with all those villas, and you have a beautiful setting there, as you go, you just walk the course here. You'll get the feel that this is the place to be, because Karnataka has a few good courses, but I think when it comes to Zion, this gives a very different feel. So I know of a few people who travel during, like at the end of the week, to play here. They don't go to those well laid out courses, and not so young
Right.
courses in Bangalore and around Bangalore, but they travel 1.5 hours, 2 hours to be here. And a lot of Koreans come here. A lot of people, who want to come and feel a very different experience. They do take the time off, and they invest their time to be here for the weekend. So they play 2 days of golf here, and they go back, and the word of mouth publicity is really helping this cause.
No, this course is actually a really good one. I've played this course maybe about 4 years ago. Of course, at the time it was just 9 holes, and of course, as we know, the back nine has been added on, I think, about 6 months ago, and therefore also a little bit of difference in the firmness of the greens, because it does take a couple of seasons for new greens to settle in. But I have to say, it's a great layout, and it's out there in the open. And yes, you're absolutely right, because it's such a nice course. and the team that's built it and takes care of it has done such a wonderful job. There are more and enough people willing to take the 1.5 hour trek. And that's also a lot how it is internationally, Rakesh, because in cities there's only that much land available, and most golf course developments, particularly with lovely homes around it, can only be built on the outskirts of major cities, or in smaller cities where land is available.
Absolutely. And it's great to have a course that challenges you because, as you very rightly pointed out, that the last few weeks, the second half of the season, ever since it started, what we've been seeing is very, very low scores, and I mean almost insane kind of scoring. I mean, minus 20 plus. So you can imagine what kind of scores we are looking at. Our golfers are killing the course. But here is the one, that 1 week with the difference where when you look at a minus 6, it looks like as though you are, I mean, you're just 2 shots ahead, but that 2 shots on a course like this looks like a 4 shot lead.
No, absolutely, because this is a tough course. The wind is up, and just last week, I think there were only 3 players who ended the 72-hole tournament above par, which is kind of ridiculous. And this week, I think the cut line for 36 holes went at 8 over, and there was just maybe not even 10 players who were under par after 36 holes, which was last night.
So true.
It's also very heartening to see the amount of development in terms of residential coming up around the golf course, and it's something that is getting extremely popular. Golf living, and living on a golf course, and certainly lovely views to wake up to in the morning. I would take that sort of life all day long.
Shivis, I've had the fortune of staying on this course for more than a week. Trust me, each morning is absolutely delightful, and you look forward to sun baking you up in the early hours, and you see people on the course already. So it's a fantastic experience. Now at this point, I welcome back Rahul. He takes over for the next segment. Thank you.
So of course we are on hole 11. That's Shaurya Bhattacharya on the screen as we speak. Welcome back to the commentary box on the hot seat, Rahul.
Well, Shivas, it's an absolute pleasure to be commentating alongside you. You're a stalwart and, the top corporate golfer, if I may say.
Well, no, the corporate golf was a bad word in my life. I get invited to
You're
two
a,
events.
you're a corporate golfer. You also go around playing leagues. Are you a professional league player now?
I'm a professional amateur.
Professional amateur.
Yeah, well, I enjoy my time playing some of the leagues across the country. It allows me the opportunity to play with a lot of friends and also a lot of golfers I grew up playing with. But I think a special place in my heart is the ABT Champions Tour, where it's the over 50s tour, and I kind of like to ply my trade there and get a few good results. So it's fun. It's fun. I enjoy my time being out and about.
And Shivas, you said that you played here at the Zion Hills earlier. What has your experience been like? What kind of greens are we looking at? I have spoken to a few players, and they have narrated to me from their heart how tough the course is playing. But having said that, what has your experience been since you are the professional amateur that you are, and you go around, you've seen courses that many of us haven't.
Well, I think it's just a lucky part of my life, and I enjoy that. And it's a good thing that I get around. So, Zion Hills, of course, I did mention that I was there maybe 3 years ago, and played 9 holes. So, for starters, the course has a lot of energy because there's a fabulous academy that's being run out there by a good friend of ours, Tarun Sardesai. And he's got his youngsters living there and practicing there and playing there. So, I fully expect a lot of the youngsters from his stable, Ariman Mohan, from Mumbai, but he's moved there. You have Subhash Tamang, and they would certainly do well. So coming back, of course, to your original question, the greens I just found them outstanding. They were very soft. It was a benign day. The wind wasn't anything like these youngsters are experiencing this week or these boys experiencing this week. And well, certainly I did not play from the tips. probably the tee in front of that. So the course play is incredibly different, as you know, Rahul. When you're playing from the tips, you're playing from the members tee. But it's a great layout. Certainly, there's a lot of potential. And looking at the way it's playing this week, it's a big thing, particularly on the back nine, to make the right choice from off the tee. And as you would agree, when you're playing a course for the first time, there are many courses on the tour which have been around for a while. So a lot of the players have prior experience on playing that course and get advice also from their senior peers on tips on how to handle the course. But this one's hosting an event for the first time, a PGTI event, and it's new for most of the guys out there.
Absolutely. Shaurya there, putting from about a few feet away. Rolls that one in, no trouble for him. Finds the bottom of the cup. And, earlier I was actually narrating how the 10th and the 11th are, unfortunately, I was actually not saying the right things. And the 10th is a par 5. It's a 565-yard par 5, where Shaurya Bhattacharya actually made a birdie and took solo lead at 6 under par. 11th is not a par 3, sorry, it's a par 4 at 365 yards. I think I had that botched up a little bit. But things are getting clearer as the mist gets off my glasses. Udayan Mane on the screen on hole number 10. Coming up from pretty much a similar position to what Shaurya Bhattacharya came from what we say is the fat side of the green. Like I said earlier, ladies and gentlemen, this ain't no fat shaming. Subhash Tamang coming up from the back of the green here. A tough up and down, especially because of the way the ball is nestled down into that rough. Although this is where Subhash plays most of his golf, so should not be so tough for him, although we could be surprised.
Well, Subhash was very impressive last week as well. He had by the standards, of course, of the rest of the field, he had a bit of a mediocre final round at Clover. But I was particularly very impressed with how he approaches his game and his general conduct on the course.
I think pretty much left to that putt to figure out whether that's going to be an up and down or not. Definitely not the kind of chip that he would have been looking to hit. It can also be quite daunting for a player, especially if the ball is nestled down a little bit. Its headwind is of high intensity. You're not really sure whether the ball's going to get caught or not into the grass. Jairaj Singh Sandhu coming up from the left corner of this green.
A lot of big water bodies as well, particularly on the back nine, Rahul. On the two par threes, there's a fairly large expanse of water that one needs to get across, and this pin position as well, just cut 10 yards on from the front. Downwind, pretty damn hard to make that ball stop.
Absolutely. In fact, if you're one of those who's going in for 3 shots onto this green, I don't think it's an easy flag to be stopping at. The only place you can probably get an up and down look over here is from the right side of the green, if anything. Otherwise, it's not easy pickings here for the players. In fact, some of the players, even though being a par 5 and playing downwind left to right, it's not been easy for some of the players. We are seeing a lot of bogeys and double bogeys even on these holes. Usually, when you look at a scorecard for professional golf tournaments here on the PGT of India, you'd see a lot of pinks and a lot of deep reds, which are your eagles on par 5s. And Zion Hill's definitely testing the players for how good they really are. As we take a look at Jairaj Singh Sandhu, Jairaj also coming up with a claw grip, something which we see very commonly these days on the junior tours, amateur tours, as well as the professional golf tours.
That brings us to a very interesting point, Rahul, and you're quite the expert on this aspect, given obviously your amateur golfing background and the fact that you're working with a lot of good players now.
Well, the claw seems to work there.
And so what is it that the claw grip does that a regular grip or a reverse grip or a cack hand grip doesn't?
What it's basically doing is that this grip is actually deactivating the lead hand that the player has. Lead hand that the player has, which basically is your trail hand on the club.
Correct.
And what that does is that all the extra rotations of the putter face, or some people have the habit of using too much of hand motion through the putt, which manipulates the face too much. You just sort of remove that, and the ambiguity of the putter face gets away, and you're able to get through the ball in a much squarer fashion. That's basically what most players are trying to do: deactivate their right hand for a right-handed golfer, left hand for a left-handed golfer. Subhash Tamang unfortunately couldn't deactivate that ball down into the bottom of the cup. We'll have a bit of a tap in left. what most likely is a par putt for him.
That was very interesting, Rahul, and thank you for sharing with our viewer because these are common questions that they have about the different variety of grips that they see professionals using. But not too many people take the care to explain to them what those grips really do.
Oh, I care.
No, you do, right? And that's what makes you a very good teacher. That's the reason I asked you that
I'm just,
question.
I'm just kidding. There's a lot of grips that players use these days. Very different ones. In fact, counterbalance putters like what Mane is using right now over here. It's a long putter, probably about 37 or 38 inches, and it would be counterbalanced on the top of the putter, which basically helps to make the stroke a little smoother and
Right.
not have the weight sort of feels more distributed between the grip end and the bottom end of the putter rather than just being all of it at the bottom end, which is the club head.
And no, you're absolutely right about that because, again, I've seen, and as you may have as well, sometimes you have club amateurs or club players picking up a piece of equipment without really understanding how to use it. And ever so often I've seen people using a counterbalance and saying, oh, it's 38 inches, it's too long for me. Because no one's really guided them that you actually have to grip midway down the grip. You hold the putter midway down the grip
Right.
to activate, as you said, the counterbalance effect.
Right. In fact, other than that,
पढ़ता है खेलता है झूलता उछलता है दौड़ता कभी कभी दौड़ कराता है आगे आगे बढ़ता है इंडिया अमूल दूध पीता है इंडिया
What a great shot! But he looks tired. And that's a drinks break.
But what's the plus sign for? अमृतांजन इलेक्ट्रो प्लस जब लगे थकान वाली प्यास जरूरी है सेल लेवल हाइड्रेशन इसके इलेक्ट्रोलाइट्स आपके सेल्स को रिहाइड्रेट करे एनर्जी लौटाए थकान वाली प्यास मिटाए
जब आपको भी लगे थकान वाली प्यास अमृतांजन इलेक्ट्रो प्लस थकान वाली प्यास के लिए
I'm sorry, sir. My mistake.
पर हम भी जिद्दी है मुश्किल खड़ी है खोले सीना सामने एक चट्टान है मेरी जिद का बोले पसीना चट्टानों के अंदर आसमान है जिद क्या पावाली जिद क्या पावाली जिद क्या पावाली जिद
back to the action here at the Kolar Open, powered by Zion Hills Golf County. Here at Kolar, about an hour and a half away from Bengaluru town, is this professional golf tour of India event. Prize purse of 1 crore rupees this week. 16th event here on the PGT of India. And Shaurya Bhattacharya leads the way at 7 under par. Total 4 shots ahead of Mohammad Azhar and Hanif Soya. Kshitij Naved call on our screen right now, coming up onto the 12th hole from the right side of the fairway. Pin today on the 12th hole is 18 yards and center pin position, which is actually not a very tough pin position for the players to get to. Winds also slightly from the front, so it should be easy pickings for him to stop the ball quickly on the green. Hopefully that lie was not so bad.
No, and interestingly, while it's a 405-yard par 4, it's actually a dog leg, and the trees, Rakesh and I was discussing, haven't yet grown up to their full height. So a lot of these boys getting very close to the green, cutting off a bit of the corner, and giving themselves little flip wedges at the flag.
Shaurya Bhattacharya, the leader now, coming up from the left side of the fairway.
That's a pretty good angle, Rahul, at this flag.
Coming up with birdies on 10th and 11th, trying to make his third birdie in a row on the 12th. It's a pretty good angle to come from. Hopefully that ball's sitting pretty well in the fairway. That's a super shot there by Shaurya, coming up to about 4 feet away from the flag.
And that should, I suppose, allow him to move a bit left to right and now allow him to make his third birdie in a row and extend his lead.
Absolutely, and that would be the 6th birdie for Shaurya for today. Beautifully done there, controlled swing for Shaurya Bhattacharya with his wedge. Dropping it right at the exact yardage required and spinning it next to the hole.
Rahul, I'm aware of the relationship you and young Shaurya have, and I know you're coaching him and he's been your student for a long time. Tell us a little bit more about the young man.
Well,
The good stuff. The good
well,
stuff.
I think first and foremost, yep, Shaurya has been working with me now for quite a few years. Interestingly, I'll tell you, he's also one of the most hardworking students that I have, and that goes to show in the way he plies his trade. And one thing that I must say is that it's quite impressive to see him how he's matured up over the years. You know, he's been seeing me since the time he was 15 years old, and it's nice to see how he's matured up over the years from having no beard on his face and to now all the way that he's come. He's become a multiple winner on the tour now, and had the first year last year on the tour as well, you know, was a strong year for him, winning his first event then itself, and now this year he's actually been proving himself even more so, week in and week out. And that's exactly, you know, what we sort of strive for. We strive for getting the game to a point where you know, week after week the player's game should be so versatile to be able to command uh, and hold his own through the weeks. And that's, you know, so that's something that Shaurya does very well. And nothing to take away from him. Actually, it's his hard work that he really puts in, all of it that happens behind the scenes, that shows in his game on the grounds.
And Shaurya is a Noida boy as well.
No, he lives in Delhi and plies his trade out of APTA Golf Club, but he comes down to see me here in Noida. That's where I'm based out of. So, you know, he just comes down and hangs out with me over here every now and then. In fact, I spoke with him this morning, and he was telling me the greens are playing phenomenally. He mentioned, and he said it's quite windy, but he said the greens are playing phenomenally. They're large greens. So it's not tough to find the green if you're in the fairway, but it's definitely tough to putt if you're far
tough
away
to
from
find
the
the hole.
hole. Kshitij coming up from the back of the green here.
Kshitij is also a Delhi boy. He calls Delhi Golf Club home. And again, a tremendous player, always hovering around the leaderboard. Be good to see him get one across the line pretty quickly. But of course, Shaurya has built up a solid four-shot lead, and he seems to be holding on to it.
Well, I do think, and without any bias whatsoever, that, you know, there's the end of this tournament is really very far right now. It's not just 27 holes far; it's literally a day and a half away, and anything can happen on a course like this. You know, someone has to get on a hot streak, and someone has to, get caught in the winds, and anything can really happen. So I'd really keep my mind open as we, look at the back nine for the day today, and moving into the 18 holes that come in tomorrow.
Well, the back nine, of course, is the tougher nine, is what I've been told. The tee balls, the tee shots have to be, you have to be very selective. A lot of narrow fairways, a few OB lines as well, and of course, if you hit them offline, as we know, the wind when it starts blowing, it kind of exaggerates your misses significantly.
Dhruv Shuran sizing up that putt here on the 12th hole. The pin today over here on this hole looks like it's put into a bit of a crater, like the slopes are on the sides. And I did see, a couple of players earlier trying to use the slopes to get it close to the hole, but unfortunately, that the ball didn't really spin back the way they wanted it to. So we take a look at Dhruv Shuran. Dhruv plays mostly from Gurgaon.
Through himself, exactly. I was just going to say that again, based up north in the NCR region. Dhruv Sheeran, of course, was I believe a Q School winner a couple of seasons ago.
Absolutely.
He's really grown in stature and confidence.
Absolutely. In fact, he's also another one of the consistent players on the PGTI. He's been a pro for a couple of years now. If I'm not wrong, he turned pro in 2018. And yes, he did win the Q School then. And after that, he's actually won a couple of PGTI events. And he's been struggling with his game a little bit, but really trying to hold on to the reins. And made a birdie just now on the 11th hole after a bit of a blemish on the 10th. So definitely trying to hold his own here is Dhruv, currently at a tie for fifth position at 2 under par. As we take a look at Kshitij seems to have taken out what seems to be a book of notes or quotes or yardages, one of the two.
I think he's probably looking at a book which has contours on the green, looking at certain pin positions. Interestingly, you look back at the screen, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers would be interested to know what those little white squares on the fairways are. And those are typically protections for the young trees and the saplings so that they don't get damaged by the golfers when they get around. So people could typically get a nice, free relief from that if it interferes, of course, in your swing or your stance. But Rahul, that could also lead to certain complications when it's interfering in your line of sight and not necessarily in, let's say a couple of club lengths behind that. That could be a bit of an impediment.
Yes, and that would totally depend on the rules, the local rules applied by the tournament committee, and most likely that the line of sight would actually enable the player to get a free relief, so that he can get the player can actually get the ball can get out of the way of where those nets are placed.
Right.
Rather than sometimes when we have hoardings out there on the course, we can remove the hoarding to clear the line of sight for the player. But in this case, actually, the player would be given a free relief so that the player gets out of the way of the sapling.
Very true.
And that really does.
That's the movable obstruction and immovable obstruction interpretation for our viewers.
Correct. Shaurya Bhattacharya coming up for birdie here, take himself to 8 under par, third birdie in a row to start the treacherous back nine here at Zion Hills.
And that's really a very, very solid start, if I may say, Rahul, to the back nine, because the first 3-4 holes on the back nine are very punishing.
Well, I think one of the goals that one would have, of course, and that super
done.
birdie there for Shaurya, going up to 8 under par now for the tournament. In fact, over the course of this tournament, we've had the first day we had the best score of 4 under par, which became the course record over here. And on the second day, we had Udyan Mane, who shot 67, which then became the new course record at 5 under par. And we have
someone on watch today, but we're not going to jinx it, right?
Yes, we definitely. The unfortunate thing, though, is that today, out of all the days so far, is Prefer Lies, because of all the rain that wreaked havoc yesterday on the round. And so the course is today playing as a preferred lie course. So I don't think that's going to really count as a course record.
Yes, you're absolutely right
officially.
about that, Rahul.
Udyan Mane, the gent who currently holds the course record here at 5 under par, with the same counterbalanced putter. And mind you, he's so tall, he could
Gent
actually...
or the giant?
The giant.
Gentle giant.
In fact, Udyan could actually use a 38-inch putter all the way from the top, owing to the stature that he has. Unfortunately, that didn't make the bottom of the cup, and that'll be just a knock-a-doodle-doo for him.
But then, of course, struggling a little bit today. I believe he's 1 over par for the day now, currently as we speak.
Udyan Mane has had a string of bogeys on that front nine, turned up at 2 over par from the front half, made a birdie on the 10th itself to be at 1 over par for the day and 3 under par for the tournament. An unfortunate string of bogeys or the front nine, almost seeming like a snowball effect that he went through.
Well, Rahul, say hello to our viewers.
Oh, hello there. And, meet my friend here, Shivas Nath. Shivas, who is a professional amateur, as he calls himself.
That's a good introduction. And as my kids say, I only work so I can play golf. So that pretty much sums it up.
Isn't that the dream of many? I wish I could just do the same. Subhash Tamang rolling that one in from about 12 feet away on the hole number 11th, making a birdie.
The greens here are exceptional, and I believe they firmed them up a bit this week to kind of allow for the scoring parity to be a lot more real and toughen things up a bit for the players. And particularly on the holes that are protected on the front by water bodies or severe roughs, and pins are cut in front. That certainly does give the players a lot to think about.
Incidentally, I did have a word, as I told you, with some of the players who are playing this week at Zion, and they mentioned that it's very funny how on just before the Pro-Am, the greens were playing really hard, and then they became really soft, and then they became really hard, and then they became really soft again. And that goes to show the nature of the ground underneath. It must be soaking in all the water pretty quickly from the rains, that it actually changes its texture that much quickly the next day itself. There we go. Some of the top moments of the day today. Yuvraj Singh on our screens. That's Gaurav Pratap Singh played alongside Yuvraj Singh from Kapurthala. Youngsters there helping out on the course. Shaurya Bhattacharya, Dhruv Shoran. There you have it. Look the Naved call doesn't want us to look at his eyes. Players are having a tough time here at Kolar with all these windy conditions. We take a look at Dhruv Shoran on hole number 13.
13th hole itself is 345 yards, and you saw the wispy grass and the rough. The wind is blowing. Yesterday, things did taper up a bit wind-wise towards the second half, and then, of course, took full advantage of that. But today, the wind seems to be up again.
Absolutely, it is definitely. The wind is definitely blistering out there, and on this particular hole, the wind seems to be from the right to the left. As we could also tell, Dhruv actually finished his iron shot from the tee towards the left side of the fairway. I'm not so sure if there's a water hazard on this hole, but definitely looks like each of the players is going with an iron to lay up there first.
Yeah, they're probably going to lay that up and leave themselves about 100 yards, 80 yards in.
Shivas, have you had the pleasure of playing this hole to tell our viewers as to where?
No, I have
how
not
it's
played
really
this back
placed?
nine. This did not exist when I was there 3 years ago. There's a lot of work going on, of course, but no, I have not played the back nine.
Shaurya Bhattacharya now at 8 under par. Tee shot on hole number 13. Par 4, all of 345 yards. Definitely will give the players a wedge in the hand, but will be closest to the pin contest as we get closer to the second shot.
A lot of these greens also guarded by not just water bodies, but also very large bunkers, as our viewers must have seen from the overhead visuals. So certainly, very well designed course, interesting strategy.
I also
Risk and
saw a little lake, kind of a water body in the middle of the golf course. Is that a lake or is that a man-made body? Would you know, Shivas?
From a golf course design perspective, it could also be a water retention feature, which also doubles up as a water body, because environmentally, again, a responsible owner or a responsible golf course designer would ensure that you're using your own resources to the maximum and not depleting the other resources available, which can be put, of course, to other very significant use. So, one of the courses that I feel has done a great job with that is Kolar Blues and Greens. A lot of water features, and they're just dependent on their own harvested water, so as to put it. Of course, they treat it and make it reusable. So I think that's something that augurs well for being environmentally responsible as well.
At this moment, there's no golf tournament or any sports event that happens without the sponsors. So we take a quick look at the aerial view of the Zion Hills Golf County. Big thank you to our tour partners, Victorious Choice, IndusInd Bank, and Amrutanjan Electro Plus, alongside Rolex, a well-known timekeeper, and Amul, a well-known butter that you all have had with your parathas this morning. So we take a look at the leaderboard there. Shaurya Bhattacharya definitely has had a bunch of butter this morning. 8 under par for the tournament. 5 shots ahead of Hani Besoya and Jairaj Sandhu, as well as Udayan Mane.
Well, thank you for evoking memories of the parathas with the Amul butter. And, if you decide to have a cheese omelette, then the Amul cheese does very well as well.
Well, there we go. You've got a versatile company there. And if you're not having any of these days, Amul also seems to be making protein shakes now.
I'm sorry, sir. My mistake.
पर हम भी जिद्दी है मुश्किल खड़ी है खोले सीना सामने एक चट्टान है मेरी जिद का बोले पसीना चट्टानों के अंदर आसमान है जिद क्या पावाली जिद क्या पावाली जिद क्या पावाली जिद.
What a great shot! But he looks tired. And that's a drinks break.
But what's the plus sign for?
अमृतांजन इलेक्ट्रो प्लस. जब लगे थकान वाली प्यास, जरूरी है सेल लेवल हाइड्रेशन. इसके इलेक्ट्रोलाइट्स आपके सेल्स को रिहाइड्रेट करें, एनर्जी लौटाएं, थकान वाली प्यास मिटाएं.
जब आपको भी लगे थकान वाली प्यास, अमृतांजन इलेक्ट्रो प्लस. थकान वाली प्यास के लिए.
पढ़ता है, खेलता है, झूलता उछलता है, दौड़ता कभी कभी दौड़ कर आता है, आगे आगे बढ़ता है इंडिया. अमूल दूध पीता है इंडिया.
We're back to the live action, and I'm going to hand over the mic to our colleague Rakesh, who's actually had the pleasure of living at this property, and he'll tell you a lot more about the future plans of Zion Hills.
Mr. Rao, thanks for joining us back
you,
here.
Shiz.
In fact, since you have had the opportunity to hang out a little bit at the Zion Hills Golf County, could you actually help our viewers in understanding the same question that I asked Shivas some time back with that big water body in the middle? Is that man-made or is that an actual lake that existed on that piece of land before the set? Is the course built around it or was that built separately?
Rahul, it was there earlier, and it has regular, water supply as well. But it has been redesigned. It's been tweaked a bit to ensure that the scenic beauty is not compromised at all. And a lot of work has gone into it. It wasn't easy for those behind this course to give the kind of shape that we are like looking at. It's been a fantastic thing to retain all those like water bodies there. Some are of course man-made. It was made at a certain place connected with the like water source, but the overall designing of it, you have to be there to get a feel of what I'm saying, because one, it's the entire thing looks fresh because obviously it's new, and the placement of the boulders and close to the like water bodies there, and the way the the bunkers are placed. So of course like more of that in a bit, but right now as we see on the 12th, this is the leaders group.
Udayan Mane with a stellar shot there, leaving himself just 4 feet for birdie. Definitely looking to get himself back to even par. As we take a look at Gerard Sandhu coming up from the right side of the fairway, he's having no problems with line of sight. Seems like he can wobble that ball over these very easily. Gerard Singh Sandhu playing to headwind over here on this hole from his angle. Is Jairaj able to get that ball close to the hole? Unfortunately, that's a bit far away and just off the green. Seems like he had to really chop some grass off to get that club to the ball. Must have been in thick stuff, as we call it. We have Dhruv Shoran, our penultimate leader group here. Dhruv lining up for a birdie here on hole number 13. 13th hole here at Kolar is a 345-yard hole, so that's his wedge shot that is landed up onto the green. Just trying to figure out how much he wants to hit it, as those gestures that he just made actually for our viewers would be interesting to note that it's actually him trying to feel how much does he need to hit the ball to get it up to the hole. It's kind of like a field builder in the hand to be able to then step on and go for it. A lot of boulders and that water hazard in the background. Dhruv will have to contend with another 5 feet or so for his par here on number 12. Number 13th, my apologies. Shaurya Bhattacharya also a similar location as Dhruv. Seems like he's also left himself slightly short and slightly left of the hole from where the players were coming. The 13th hole today has got a pin position of 16 yards from the front and 6 from the left. So closer to that water hazard and tough to get that ball to stop on the right side and close enough to the hole. Shaurya uses a Malay putter. Probably about a year ago is when he switched from a blade putter to a Malay putter and has enjoyed it so far. Plays a slight toe hang. Leaves that one up short. Doesn't matter, Malay or blade. He's got to still hit it. It's a little taparoo. For Shaurya to make a par here on hole number 13. Stays at 8 under par for the tournament. Kshitij Naved Kaul has definitely gone a bit more aggressive than the other two players, finding himself on the same tier as the flag. We should have a better look at birdie than the other two players. Kshitij also has a very peculiar way of addressing a putt, very meticulous about the kind of processes that he follows through and through. Putting with one of the latest technology, probably not latest technology, but one of the zero torque putters as the latest in thing in the golfing world that everyone's speaking about, and seems like it completely works. Kshitij Naved Kaul drains in a birdie here on the 13th. Mind you, you also have to hit the ball on the same tier as the flag to be able to drain the putt.
That went like an arrow, right? As straight as that. I mean,
No torque on that, was it?
absolutely. Just let this. Just. It's not very often you see somebody, stroking it so firmly and, gauging it so perfectly well. The distance and the speed and the direction.
Well, there's many ways to skin a cat. Kshitij Naved Kaul certainly has his own way. Dhruv now needing to make a par here. Nearly 6 to 7 feet past the hole is where he's landed himself up. Really windy, as you can tell, with the water, all the grass that is moving around on the course, the player's shirt. It's really definitely tough conditions out there. Unfortunately, Shaurya would have to settle with a bogey if he makes that putt. Shaurya turned his front nine at 36, which is even par, and made a 7 on the 10th, which is a par 5, and trying to come back with a birdie on the 11th. Unfortunately, that wasn't to be. On the 13th now, putting for bogey. Shaurya finds the bottom of the cup here. Will drop one shot to go to 2 over par for the day, and to be a total of 1 under par for the tournament. Incidentally, Mr. Rao, with all the history and the time that you probably spent over there, you must be knowing a bit more about the town Kolar. In fact, I visited Zion Hills one time briefly for an hour or two, and that's when I actually came to know that Kolar used to be, as the name suggests, used to be a gold miners town, and now it's just a small little town that exists as remnants of what used to be once a big town, perhaps. Is that right?
Very true. And of course, it has had its history. But at the same time, when you go there today, when you come out of the golf course and you see the rural area there, I mean, this particular property stands out because of the contrast that you see, the people, the way of being, and also, Kolar, like most of the cities in Karnataka. Unfortunately, when you talk about Karnataka, the state, you won't find too many states which are known in the like outside of the state. We talk about Bangalore, we talk about Mysore, Mangalore, and that's about it. And thereafter you'll say, okay, how many more states are there? So a lot of these states are there which need a lot of focus, but of course it hasn't been so. And here comes the big unit, Udayan Mane at work.
Udayan Mane drains a birdie here on the 12th
Yeah.
to get back to even par for the day. My apologies, Mr. Rao, as you request you to continue with the lovely story about Kolar. We've got Jairaj Sandhu on our screen on 13th playing alongside Subhash Tamang as we wait for them to hit off. We'll hear a little bit more about Kolar, the town.
Of course, when you go there, the first thought that comes to your mind is the Kolar. I mean, it is known for its gold mines and stuff, but it's not the same anymore. But then, of course, a lot of history attached to it, and people do go sightseeing and trying to look closer to the things. But it's still what you see in most southern states: lots of temples and a lot of simplicity all around. So what I like is the contrast between the Zion Hills property, and you come out of it, you are in a different world.
Lovely. So you're basically saying that would we call Zion Hills as pretty much the oasis in the town?
Yeah, you can say that. And the best part is the kind of employment it has like generated, plus the ladies caddies there. I mean, that has been, I think, that has actually helped the economy of the place there. And people work pretty hard there. I mean, and also I remember during the days of COVID, the way the people responded to it. Of course, it wasn't easy for the group, but I think overall the locals played their part, and today they have a huge role. I mean, they have played a huge role in where we see Zion Hills as of today.
Udayan Mane coming up here on the 13th with the wind blowing from the right to the left. Udayan trying to find the fairway. And then, of course, we just saw our penultimate leader group who was trying to find it close to the flag. We will see where Udayan Mane ends up hitting it. Can he get it closer to the hole than the penultimate group or not? That is waited to be seen. Notable score still on the course. Tapinder Ghai sticking around at 4 under par for the day. Shaurya Bhattacharya, of course, at 6 under par for the day, leading the pack at 8 under par. Udayan Mane has made birdie and moved to 4 under par, and that makes him just 4 shots away from Shaurya Bhattacharya. We also have Kshitij Naved Kaul at 2 under par and Hani Besoya at 1 under par for the day. Also got Manoj S and Abhinav Lohan playing to 2 under par for the day, and both are tied up at even par. It's just a couple of under, as they would call it. We also have Akshay Sharma and Koichiro Sato, Arjun Prasad, as well as Jamal Mola, all playing to under par numbers. Jamal, of course, comes in all the way from Bangladesh, currently at 4 under par for the day and 4 over par for the tournament. This really gives you the sense and the understanding of how tough the course is playing and how good the players really are.
Also, so far I mean, we have reached the second half of day 3, and so far only 12 golfers, or rather 11 golfers, who have either par or under. So people have struggled to break par here, and as a result, it has added a lot of intrigue to the title race here.
As our leader now gets to hole number 14, the par 3, 255-yard long par 3 with these windy conditions. Definitely going to be a tough shot, and you can tell he's changed his club. Certainly playing a little inky, pinky ponky with which club to go with. Not an easy choice to make, especially for a long distance par 3. Pin today on the 14th hole is 18 inside from the front and 8 from the left. Prudent place perhaps would be to be slightly right of the hole. Zion Hills, interestingly, is the 53rd venue overall on the PGT of India calendar so far, and 49th venue of theirs in India. The first men's professional event to be held here at the Zion Hills. Lovely shot there by Shaurya Bhattacharya, finding the dance floor with his choice of club. Leading Indian professionals participating in the event this week are Angad Chima, Olympian Udayan Mane, Om Prakash Chauhan, Manu Gandas, Arjun Prasad, and Shaurya Bhattacharya. As we just saw, Shaurya leads the way. Dhruv Shoran on our screens now on the same par 3. Prominent foreign names this week are N. Thangaraja, K. Prabhakaran, Jamal Hussain from Bangladesh, Badal Hussain also from Bangladesh, Italians, Michel Ortolani and Federico Zuccheri, and my apologies if I haven't pronounced any of these correctly. Czechs, Stefan Danek from Czech Republic. Lovely shot there by Dhruv Shoran, coming up to birdieable distance from the flag. We also have American Koichiro Sato, who's playing 1 under par for the day today, and Nepal's Subhash Samang, as well as Uganda's Joshua Seal. Penultimate group now making their way onto the putting surface here. We have missed out on the shot of Kshitij Naved Kaul, who is currently at 3 under par. Udayan Mane, is he trying to laser us down? The architect of the Zion Hills golf course is Ronald Freem. back nine, in fact, was completed just earlier this year. The key features of this course are its huge trees, the thick rough around the greens, and the numerous penalty areas that are made. The fairways on the newly constructed back nine are narrower than the fairways on the front nine, as I had also heard from the players. It's pretty tough to find the fairway on the back nine, and with the big greens, tough to find birdies as well. Subhash Tamang from Nepal on our screen. Standout feature, as Mr. Rao had said earlier, is the lady caddies here. Of course, this provides a lot of employment opportunities. Golf courses across anywhere, wherever they are built, provide employment opportunities for caddies, for greenskeepers, as well as for hospitality staff. So all in all, definitely a generator of employment. Subhash coming up onto the green. Subhash is one of the few and one of the top professional golfers from Nepal. He represented his country for many years.
This is one hole where the green is on an island, so if one has to be very, very accurate with the drive.
Interesting fact there, Mr. Rao. The green is actually on an island, and probably that explains why the players are going with an iron off the tee box. Unless and until they want to drop into the drink like a cube of ice or the Mane.
This is about 345 from the gold tee and 330 from the black one. So this is the one where we've got to hit a very measured approach here.
Mane not very happy with that approach shot of his. Didn't quite have the camp of his, he says. Jairaj Singh Sandhu literally nearly knocking himself into his caddy's hand, but decides to change his club. Jairaj coming up onto the 13th hole, which we have now understood is an island green, and that's the reason the players are going up from the tee with an iron to lay up. Jairaj seems to have caught a bit too much ground than he would have wanted for a wedge shot, and has landed himself on the same shelf as the hole, but a bit far away than what he would like to be at with a wedge. As I now call upon my co-commentator, Shivasnath.
Thank you, Rahul. And yes, that's exactly what swirling wind and a strong one at that, coupled with, of course, a huge water body in the front does. You just play to the safer side, and we didn't really catch a visual of Udayan's second shot, but he was clearly unhappy. And, the penalty for being too cute can be fairly high.
And here the green is surrounded by water from three sides, and you have a bunker. It really challenges you in the sense that after you tee off, and of course it's like this being a par four, so your approach shot becomes the key.
You're absolutely right. It's about playing to the safe side and putting yourself in a position where you are giving yourself a birdie opportunity. And the pin is just cut 16 yards on, which on a large green isn't really a whole lot with a swirling wind. And when you're coming in with wedges, while of course they are typically the easier shots, but you have to be very precise because sometimes you're taking something off, and you have the ability to manipulate that swing, flight it in, ride the wind. Lots of variables, all in the mind, of course.
And here we are on the 14th. Now, 14th is the longest par 3 in this country. It is 255 from the gold tees there.
And again, over a large expanse of water, I'm told, Rakesh.
Absolutely. And this is guarded by bunkers on all sides.
This golf course is quite a brute.
Yeah, it is brutal. So if you don't hit a measured approach, you are in trouble.
And also, picking your strategy, I think, is something incredibly important, because you have to make a wise choice, a safe choice, and know where to pick your battles.
True. Of course management has always been, paramount for every single pro on tour, and this is the kind of course where you actually have to, be flexible. You can't go with plan A on all 4 days. You got to look at the wind. You have to also look at the pin positions, and because this is surrounded by hazards on a lot of these holes, so you got to be very very careful with your tee shot and your approach.
Yeah, absolutely right. That's what I think our viewers are beginning to understand as well. The greens are large, and then once you miss the green, there isn't really any bailout area. It's very penal, and particularly the back nine, being the newer one, has slightly firmer greens and certainly has narrower fairways and some large, monstrous par threes.
And if you look at the 14th here, if you miss the green, it punishes you so badly that you can't afford to really pitch the ball and not control the backswing. You'll be in serious trouble here if you're going for it. Of course, here the pin position it doesn't really involve you to hit with lots of backspin, but yeah, it is challenging to say the
And
least.
then this green also has a lot of contours. We saw Dhruv Sheeran's putt, and while coming up, you could actually see he had to give it a serious knock, and that was a big swing on a short putt, uh, and where the green is at a 9.2, 9.3 on the stimp. But to just get it up to the next higher level of the elevation was quite an effort.
Sometimes it appears that the green speed could be a little more than 9.2, because of, I mean, if you're there on the course, you realize that on certain kind of greens, not every green is consistent as of
Right.
now, but you cannot get carried away by the average stimp speed.
No, absolutely, because the average stimp speed, is typically taken on a flat portion of the test green, and when you're actually working with greens that have contours such as this, they can be fairly, magnified in terms of the downhill parts, particularly. But really, I must say, Rakesh, I'm thoroughly enjoying the visuals and the landscaping on this course and the visuals being presented. That's a very unfortunate miss by Shitij. You certainly have been hoping to make that one.
Now, as some of the groups are approaching the last three holes, the finishing hole being the toughest here. Of course, it's a par five, but
660 yards, I'm told.
it's the longest par five, I think, in the country, without a doubt. Anything beyond 600 is not something that you get to see. I mean, these people had the luxury of building a course, because I don't think land was such a serious issue here. But within the available space, the way it has been designed, and to have the luxury of a par 18, I mean, a par 5, which goes beyond 6 and well beyond 6. So that is quite something. I mean, of course, you got to I mean, you have the luxury of using the driver from the tee.
It's a fairly wide open fairway,
Yeah.
and it's also
Yeah.
placed usually downhill, is what some of the players are mentioning.
All right. Okay.
So I believe a few of them have managed to get to 660 yards with two blows, which is, says a lot about the physical fitness of the length these youngsters hit it.
True. And of course, that is one hole which I think that it is a long hitter's delight, because there you can just let go. It allows you the freedom where at least the fairway is quite fine. I mean, because we keep talking about, I mean, we have spoken about it a few times, that the fairways are a bit narrower on the back nine, but the 18th allows you a free hit.
Well, you said a full go, but I've overheard a lot of the youngsters talking, and they call it a full send. We need to stay with the times, Rakesh.
True,
Send it,
true.
full send.
Full send.
It's amazing how it's so generational and the terms change on and off the golf course. Gen Z, as they call it, full send.
That was missed by Udyan. For our viewers, Udyan has been part of India's Asian Games team. He's been part of the Olympics team. I mean, he's been part of the Olympics. As an amateur, he has had his innings, and as a pro, we know that he's number 4 on the current order of merit. Had a great last week. He almost upstaged the wire-to-wire winner, Sandhu,
Yuvraj,
in the
yes.
final. 5 playoff holes, something which you don't normally get to see. To keep returning to the same hole with almost the same result 4 times. So of course, Yuvraj deserved to win because I think he was really on the ball right through the week. And but you do feel for Udyan, and I think here Udyan is all set to make one better. Though he started the day as the leader, but somehow he's lost his way. But he's clawed back to be in the second spot. But the gap between him and Shaurya, the leader, is 4 shots. And on a course like this, 4 shots can be quite a lot, but still a lot to play for.
No, you're absolutely right, Rakesh. Last week was a case of really so close but so far. And Udayan, who hasn't won in 4 years or 4 seasons, he's been working hard, playing well. He certainly deserves a win. Well, most of the boys out here do, but it was heartbreaking to see him miss out after a 5-hole playoff. And speaking about the 5-hole playoff, a couple of our colleagues, including myself, almost missed our flights because the telecast went on for about an hour and a half longer than we had planned.
That's so true.
Well, it's an interesting day out there. The breeze is up, and I kind of agree a lot with what you're saying, Rakesh. These large greens and absolutely nothing on offer if you miss the greens, and that's kind of leading to some of the big scores on a few holes and keeping things very, very much in perspective in terms of making it a very difficult and a high scoring course compared to some of the other starts. So here we are on the 15th hole.
And Shaurya, by dropping a shot on the par 3 14th, he has maintained that consistency. I mean, something which he wouldn't like to even remember. He has dropped a shot on each of his visits. This is his 3rd visit in 3 days, and every single time he visited the 14th, he has bogeyed that hole. But he has something to look forward to. If he can maintain hat trick of things, so on the 15th, on the previous 2 visits, he's had a birdie. So it's time for him to, make up for that dropped shot. He can pick up a shot here and go back to -8.
And of course, on the screen, we have young Karthik Sharma, the southpaw. Very unique style of aligning his golf ball. Probably has an alignment line or the marking on the ball. He aligns to his start point on his putts, and he kind of crunches into a little ball, as my co-commentator last week, Shaurya, was mentioning. Very unique, very, very unique. Also very deliberate. That's something which I notice about all the young players. They all have a very deliberate routine, very repeatable, and they're very efficient with that in terms of timing as well. The preparatory work for them starts a lot before the playing partner has
पढ़ता है खेलता है झूलता उछलता है दौड़ता कभी कभी दौड़ कराता है आगे आगे बढ़ता है इंडिया अमूल दूध पीता है इंडिया.
What a great shot! But he looks tired. And that's a drinks break.
But what's the plus sign for? Amrutanjan Electro Plus.
back to the live action. And while we have a quick look, Shaurya, having dropped a shot, has dropped to 7 under. And thereafter, 4 shots behind, we have Udayan Mane, followed by Tapi Ghai, Hani by Soya, and Jairaj Sandhu, all at 2 under, leaving Kshitij, Dhruv Shuran, and Subhash Tama at 1 under, who are the only players under par today.
So far, only 8 under par scores on the leaderboard. And at this point in time, I welcome back Rahul.
Welcome back, Rahul. It's always good to have you in the commentary box. So we were talking about, the fact that while these greens are absolutely monstrous, the roughs are up and there's a lot of water bodies. And if you happen to miss the green in these swirling winds, that doesn't really leave you a whole lot in terms of getting up and down, which is difficult on large greens with huge contours.
Absolutely. If you miss the green on a fast patch of green, it's very tough to get that chip to come close enough to the hole, especially if you missed it on the wrong side of it. So I'm not extremely familiar, I would say, with Zion Hills, but definitely owing to all my chats with the players so far, I can tell you that the greens are very big and very undulating. So that leaves it very tough for the players. And as you can tell, one of the balls is just landed up over here on this tee shot, and the ball is nestled completely down into that rough, making it quite a challenge to be able to get that ball to come close to the hole from there.
As you were saying, Rahul, this green is huge. It's 256, and one of our colleagues and a good teacher and coach to many players. I was chatting with a good teacher and coach to many players. I was chatting with Tarun Sardesai last evening, and when the wind is up, he was saying it's not just a 4 iron. It's sometimes even going up to about a hybrid or a 5 wood in some cases. In fact, a few of players yesterday missed the green on the short side with the 3 wood as well when the wind was blowing into their face. So this is a very, very hard hole.
I think on any of these kind of holes, what happens is that the players have to make a good decision as to where to miss the ball. It's not so much about getting the ball close to the hole as much as it is important to understand where do I need to miss this. Do I need to miss this in the center of the green, past the green, short or right of the green? Where do I need to leave it there so that I can make my up and down a little easier? Kind of like if you've gone through the notes of some of the top professional golfers of the world, people who won the Masters, they've actually made a list of holes on the side of the hole which they need to miss on. So if I remember correctly, the hole number I think is the 13th hole, which is the par four at Augusta with the so one of the holes on the back nine. I could be completely wrong with the numbering, but there's a funnel area on the right side of the hole. There's a water hazard on the left side of the hole, and the green sort of slopes from the left to the right. And statistically, it is shown that players who miss the ball into the far side of that indentation that is there on the right of the green, the likelihood of them making an up and down is far greater than the players who actually miss it on the other side.
No, you're absolutely right, Rahul. Your strategy is very, very important because everybody is going to miss a shot here and there, and in some cases, somewhere.
I mean,
And
there sometimes, not only there,
absolutely. So it's very important to leave yourself an opportunity to recover or narrow down the damage.
Absolutely, and a lot of a lot of golf that is played on the course is about minimizing your damage. So let's say if let's say you hit a poor tee shot and you hit it errand, the ball is landed up in the hazard. The next thing that you want to do is of course the first thing you want to do is to make sure that you secure your bogey, and then if you're able to make a 10-footer or a 15-footer and get it close enough to the hole, you can try to save your par. And a lot of kind of like life, right? Like if you hit across something while driving on the road, doesn't mean that you keep beating down and drop down every other car that you see. You probably just try to save car.
Yeah, well, renavigate, slow down, recalibrate. Yeah.
Kind of the same thing.
Yeah, so there you have it. You have Udayan, who's obviously missed the green to the left. And absolutely, this hole, you can see the rough, it's flush, it's juicy. It's going to take a lot of skill to, hit a nice little wedge and get the ball to nestle up somewhere near the hole. And interestingly, there's a lot of, in addition to the water, there's a lot of sand traps as well. A big one on the left side. And just look at the size of this green. It's humongous. Absolutely huge.
This is probably one of the most colorful scoreboards and scorecards that you're seeing here on the PGT of India's website. Lots of blues and lots of reds, making it kind of like a seesaw effect on the golf course. So it's not that easy to sort of go bogey free over here. In fact, no player so far has played a bogey free round on this course. Udayan Mane just picked up a shot on hole number 12 and gave it away quickly on hole number 13. And now coming up here on the 14, the long par 3, Udayan will have his own challenges.
Yeah, and this, not only is it a long hole, 250 plus yards, the green is about 40 yards deep and 60 yards across, left to right. It's huge. Well, it just makes sense from a golf course design because it's a long par 3, so you have to give the guys a big target.
That's a shot that came in from the right side of the green. Unfortunately, that will still have a lot of work remaining to be done playing alongside Udayan Mane today. is Gerard Sandhu and Subhash Tawang. I think that was Subhash Tawang's golf ball that came in. He hit his tee shot far right of the green. Gerard coming up from the front portion. He's also got his ball nestled down into the thick stuff.
And absolutely no visual of the golf ball, so you're very hard to control the spin. Based on the lie, you're going to be moving and manipulating your ball position and your hand position. A lot of variables to choose from, Rahul.
Absolutely. In fact, you know, the hardness of the greens, as the players had told me, it's fluctuating on a daily basis, which makes it another variable, right? So as the greens dry up from the rain that happened yesterday, you're going to see a lot more, difficulties creeping up over there, because if it's windy and the greens are playing hard, it is a whole new challenge to be able to save up and downs from the fairways.
And the wind and the breeze factor, of course, is probably the biggest fear factor for most accomplished golfers, because everything else is within their control and their skill level and distance control. But the breeze moving around, dying out, coming up, not being able to.
Well, Udyan's tee shot is the first that I've seen going over the green over here, and fear is not something that Udyan Mane has in his vocabulary. There we'll have him now putting from just about 3 feet away.
And
Save his par.
that's a great chip, Rahul, because if you look at the screen, the right side has a huge contour, so he's navigated that beautifully and let it feed up towards the hole.
Absolutely, and all the way uphill towards the hole. So played an aggressive tee shot, going over the green, and having a much better look at the hole than the other players. And this also sort of comes out as a part of strategy, right? Which side do I want to be coming back and hitting it from? Like we spoke about earlier, while the players were hitting the tee shot.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right? Sometimes hitting it over the green is a better idea than to be short of the green. So, depending from player to player and depending on the conditions on that particular day. Gerard Sandhu is a long attempt here to save a 3.
And this seems to be having a double break. It seems to be on the lower part of the shelf. It's going to get over a ridge and then feed down towards this hole. Not too severe, but he'd have to be make a good read and be very skillful with his imagination.
Well, without putting the commentator's curse onto Jamal Hussain, Mola from Bangladesh, currently at 4 under par for the day, going bogey free into that front nine is Jamal. Stellar player, Jamal Hussain Mola. He's one of the most consistent performers on the PGTI. As we take a look at Gerard Singh Sandhu with that claw grip, deactivating his left hand, so to speak, to put some paces on the ball. Unfortunately, that is nicely short of it.
A lot of the contours are fairly severe. Of course, you can't really see that on the television set. And there's a lot of, I suppose, judgment and feel involved in getting your distance control right. Aside, of course, from the line itself.
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple things, right? So the practice round is predominantly the day when all the players would, gather on the golf course as well as on the putting green, and their main aim is to sort of understand what the greens are going to do. One thing is to understand where do I need to hit this tee shot, how is the wind blowing, and those things sort of get past them pretty quickly. But understanding the greens, I think that's what players do probably for 70 to 80% of the time that they spend in a practice round. Be it the spin factor, be it the speed factor, be it the understanding of what kind of lines are going to be coming in. Is it going to be slope dominant or grain dominant, or some other facet of the ground that might be there. So those are the things that players would usually do. So they are spending a lot of time in understanding the greens. As we take a look at Tamang from Nepal.
Oh, well done. This is, of course, is his home course, and
Beautiful 3 for him.
and he navigated that very well. So he's pretty much mastered or got a better understanding of this course than some of his players. But interesting point you made about the fact that 60% or 70% of the time on tour, players spend time on the greens, understanding the firmness, the way the balls feed off, also the grain, the nap, amongst other things. But that said and done, also sand varies golf course to golf course. So also spending a lot of time in the sand, I think, would augur very well to see the kind of options they have with the different wedges.
It's interesting that you say that. In fact, most importantly, players would try to understand the texture of the sand in the bunkers, right? And that's a good point you brought up. In fact, the sand and the soil underneath over here at Kolar is very different from most of the other places. That is the reason that it's getting dried up in a day's time, and completely spinning back on the next day. So that's also an interesting facet to sort of look at. And yes, the texture of the bunker sand Wow, that's a 360. I haven't seen a 360 for a while, and trust me, only Mane could have done it.
And I'm glad the result was a happy result.
So, in fact, you know,
So yes, of course, the sand. Also the other thing, about a new course like this, till the base or the bottom portion or the bottom layers of the sand bunkers firm up. You can have scenarios where you have balls getting plugged because it's not leveled out 100% or settled in yet.
and I think also the texture of the sand plays such an important part for the bunker shot. Although, of course, players aren't looking at being in the bunker on every hole, but they want to understand the bunker, the texture of the sand for sure. But green is something that they have to contend on with every hole, no matter what kind of a shot, no matter where they're playing from. So that becomes an even more important aspect. I think the other important aspect, as soon as a player would see a course like this, and that would strike my eyes, the first thing is to understand how am I going to chip this ball correctly, and is my club going to stop a lot in the rough? Is the ball going to nestle down a lot in the rough? Am I going to be able to implement some spin on the ball or not? So as soon as you look at the course, also the players are actually understanding where all do they need to spend their extra time on. The thing with sand also is, Shivas, that it's sort of changing through the day. So if it rains, the sand will become much more different than when the sand is dry. So that sort of versatility is something that I would say uh, it has to be learned by a player. Like there are no two ways about it.
Yeah, a good mentorship and then learning along the way, part of the experiential journey, I think is really what it is, because you have many options using the bounce on the wedges, uh, or using the leading edge, junk and runs, flipping them out, using the slopes on the green. So yes, I'm sure that's something which a lot of your students also, you're helping them a lot with till they pick up a lot of the ropes themselves.
I'll tell you a fun fact is that a lot of the stuff that we speak about bounce on the wedges, actually, most of the better short game players that you will speak with, they will say they don't use the bounce aspect of the wedge. It's an extremely funny thing because whatever we hear and we hear in terms of marketing and a lot of jargon like stuff that we can sort of
Like
come
bounce
across
is your
sometimes.
friend.
Bounce is your friend. Of course, bounce is your friend, but where is bounce your friend, right? Bounce will not be your friend if you're hitting it 3 inches behind the ball. I can promise you that. In fact, the better player is actually trying to reduce all the bounce to get into the ball.
So if you're hitting it 3 inches behind the ball, you will have a lot of friends because they're going to make a lot of money off you on the golf course.
Well, that's another thing to sort of put out there.
Again, the rock features on this course a lot like Clover last week. Something very, very visual. And there's another course in Hyderabad called Boulder Hills. And Boulder Hills, like its name suggests and alludes, has a lot of rock formations. And of course, these are visually delightful. But should you get a little too close or too friendly with the rocks, they can lead to sort of lot of bizarre situations. We had that in the playoff last week between Yuvraj and Udayan, where Yuvraj on the 18th hole kind of got a bit of a horrid bounce off the rock and ended up 60, 70 yards, I believe, to the right of the green. So back, of course, to the live action, hole number 16. Young Karthik Sharma cleaning up.
So this is a lefties golf course. Is that what it is? There's so many lefties out there. In fact, remember Shivas back in the day. In fact, not too long ago, but just a decade ago, 10 years ago, you could hardly see any left-handed golfers out there. Right? It was so tough to get equipment. In fact, I think probably 20 years ago, it was tough to get equipment for even a right-handed golfer. Forget a left-handed golfer.
Well, I'm a little bit older than you. When we started, there were no junior clubs.
You're modest.
Barely had golf balls. To spend time in the roughs as little kids. We all rationed finding golf balls. We had nothing to finish the last 5 holes of the round with. But yes, you're right. I have a couple of people in the family that were natural left-handers, but because of just no left-handed golf sets being available, they kind of started playing the game right-handed.
As you can tell, the rough level is so far up. Kshitij Navid calls ball completely submerged inside, hardly visible, and him trying to get this ball up and close to the hole, and does a really, really good job of it.
That's a tremendous effort given the lie and the rough, and of course the contours on the green. Just look at from where he's hit it from.
Absolutely, you could barely see his shoes in there. That's how deep it really was. You couldn't see even a dimple of the golf ball. As we take a look at our leader, Shaurya Bhattacharya, on our screens.
So this, of course, is that massive green on the 15th hole, with of course, the large contours. And we saw Udain just a minute ago navigating that as well beautifully. And now we saw Kshitij really use his hands, open up the club face, give himself some room. And of course, he had very soft hands and excellent acceleration through that shot, because as juicy as that rough is, you don't actually through that shot with soft hands. You just Shaurya on screen now. Just missed that. Not much work left. Should clean that up. So things, of course, moving along to the business end, Rahul. The leaders doing their thing. Few holes to go. Some have a couple of them, and some have as many as 4. But the gap, of course, between Shaurya and Udain sits at 4 shots, and that is a very good lead on this course.
Well, absolutely is, Shivas. In fact, I would still say what I said about an hour ago, that on a course like this, it's anybody's day, right? So he could be 4 shots ahead of the next guy, but going into the final day, it really depends on how you start and how you go through the day, and versus how someone else begins with it. Things can really shift off quite a bit on a tough track like this. Having said that, it's a good lead to sort of go on with and build into it. At the same time, it is anyone's taking, because the players, of course, after the 3 rounds that they've played now, seem to be picking up a good understanding of the course, and we see a lot more reds happening here now.
And then again, heading into the last 3 holes, the 16th is again a par 3 over a large expanse of water, about a 210-yard hole where most of the boys are going to be hitting about 6 irons in. The 17th, a 470-yard par 4, which is again is a really solid 10 length for par 4. And the 18th, as my colleague Rakesh, who I will call in now, at 660 yards, playing a little downhill, again a beast of a hole. So things are going to be very interesting coming down the last 3 holes.
On to the 17th, we have Manu Gandas on the tee box. Manu Gandas currently at a tie for 9th position at a score of even par. The 17th here at Zion Hills Golf County is a hole of 470 yards, spanning, it's a par 4 and plays to a stroke index of 6. So definitely one of the tougher holes out there on this course. Mr. Rao, thank you for joining me back into the commentary circle.
Thanks, Rahul.
And a quick mention to all of the sponsors is, there's no great sporting event that can happen without them. The PGTI's tour partners, a big thank you to Victoria's Choice, IndusInd Bank, Amrutanjan Electro Plus, Rolex, as well as Amul. And of course, a big thank you to Zion Hills Golf County here in Kolar to host the Kolar Open 2025 with a prize purse of 1 crore rupees. This is the 16th event on the PGT of India's calendar this year. Makes the 49th Indian venue for the Professional Golf Tour of India. Shaurya Bhattacharya on the 16th with that tee shot. A 210-yard shot. What a brilliant shot there by Shaurya Bhattacharya. Spins that one up back. We'll still have about 8 feet remaining for a birdie. As we take a look at Kshitij Naved call. Hole number 16th is a 210-yard long par 3. Fairly long par 3 with a windy day out there, as you can tell from the trees at the background. Today's pin location here on the 16th hole is 26 in from the front and 27 from the right. So that's basically owing to the way the green is designed. It's beginning to rain here in Kolar for this back nine on the penultimate day. Victorious Choice is an entity inspired by the philosophy of Choice International Limited that has risen to become a unicorn in the financial sector with its unique and innovative approach of joy of earning. It is promoted by Victorious Endeavours Private Limited, a sports development company that is keen on a holistic development for golf in India. Our objective is to take the joy of golfing to the next level. You see that, ladies and gentlemen? You catch the drift. Joy of earning and the joy of golfing all to go hand in hand. Definitely, the players atop the leaderboard always having the joy of golfing and the joy of earning all together. You take a look at the leaderboard there. Shaurya Bhattacharya at -7 at the top of the leaderboard. Got Udayan Mane following him at 3 under par. Tapendra Ghai fondly calls himself Tappy Ghai at 2 under par, alongside Hani Besoya and Dhruv Shoran. Notables in the field, international names also playing this week are Sri Lankans N. Thangaraja and K. Prabhakaran. Bangladesh players Jamal Hussain Mola and Badal Hussain. We've got Italians Michel Ortolani and Federico Zuccheri.
पढ़ता है खेलता है झूलता उछलता है दौड़ता कभी कभी दौड़ कराता है आगे आगे बढ़ता है इंडिया अमूल दूध पीता है इंडिया
What a great shot! But he looks tired. And that's a drinks break.
But what's the plus sign for? अमृतांजन इलेक्ट्रो प्लस। जब लगे थकान वाली प्यास, जरूरी है सेल लेवल हाइड्रेशन। इसके इलेक्ट्रोलाइट्स आपके सेल्स को रिहाइड्रेट करें, एनर्जी लौटाएं, थकान वाली प्यास मिटाएं।
जब आपको भी लगे थकान वाली प्यास, अमृतांजन इलेक्ट्रो प्लस, थकान वाली प्यास के लिए।
I'm sorry, sir. My mistake.
पर हम भी जिद्दी है। मुश्किल खड़ी है खोले सीना सामने एक चट्टान है मेरी जिद का बोले पसीना चट्टानों के अंदर आसमान है जिद क्या बावाली जिद क्या बावाली जिद क्या बावाली जिद।
Back to the action here on the course. So you take a look at the tee shot here, which seems to have landed themselves up into the fairway bunker. Quite a long fairway bunker here, Mr. Rao.
Yeah, it's a huge one there. Absolutely.
I think that's the texture of the soil over there, the red
Yeah, the
sand. I
red
think that's
sand,
the
yeah.
one that gets dried up pretty quickly, if I'm not wrong.
That's true. Yeah, it can soak in a lot, and it dries up, and also it stays firm.
Right.
So it doesn't become slushy very easily.
Right.
So all these golf, the path for the cart, it's not necessarily cemented or you don't use hard concrete there. You can also make do with this.
Hani Besoya actually made 5 birdies on a trot here on the front line this morning. As we see him on our screen, he's currently on hole number 17. The 17th is a 470-yard par 4. Pretty long par 4 here with a stroke index of 6. So 17th and 18th, both tough finishing holes here at Zion Hills Golf County with 470-yard par 4 on the 17th and 660-yard par 5 on the 18th with a stroke index of 2.
That is huge. Actually, a word about the 17th here. This is where the tee shot it's playing, like downhill, and the approach shot is playing uphill. So you got to be a little smart here. And there is a creek running across the fairway that has to be avoided, obviously. And the approach shot, the uphill one chases, it really poses a serious challenge when you have to come up with an approach which goes uphill.
So Manu Ganda seems to have found somewhere on the left rough of this hole and seems to be in quite a bit of trouble. I mean, if it wasn't for his light colored clothing, we probably wouldn't have even seen him.
He's really gone off. Manu will have his stars cut out.
Well, Manu Gandas has formerly been number one professional golfer here on the PGT of India. Today, playing to 1 over par and level par for this tournament. Manu has been trying to make his mark at the DP World Tour over the past 2 seasons. Honey Besoya on the screen, coming up on the 17th with his approach shot. Honey finally finding some form. He says after a tournament in the front half of the season this year, he says a runner-up finish actually made him feel like his game was coming back into shape.
And Honey, of course, being the day one leader here.
You know, it's quite disappointing for a player to actually go into lead the tournament on day one, and then currently he is 5 shots away from the lead, so he's got a long way to go. Into that final round, trying to get some shots on that leader. Manu Gandas seems like not quite happy with something or finding a cue to a line. There is a red stake over there, so seems like it is. There's a hazard in front of Manu, if I'm not wrong. We look at. It literally looks like he's found the country.
This is quite akin to the kind of setting that you have in like Nassau in the Bahamas, where you have the World Golf Challenge. There, if you miss the fairway, and if you are not on course, I mean, in the sense that if you're not in like line with the green, if you miss that, then the ball can bounce off the green and get into something like this. So one has to be very, very careful as to not get too excited about the approach. And the backspin again plays a huge role because you can't let the ball run run the pin there. It goes beyond the pin, you are in serious trouble.
This is the other thing about the 17 today is that the pin is 38 yards from the front and nearly 40 yards from the front. That's a 3-club swing if the pin was on the front versus the back of the green. So that's another toughness over here. So the 470-yard hole pretty much playing as a 500-yard par 4. And Manu Gandas, of course, trying to get back and rise up like a phoenix. Yes, finally, we see the rest of the half of his body. The group of Subhash Tamang started off with Gerard Sandhu and Udayan Mane, the leader group. Currently on the 15th hole. Mr. Rao, what's the 15th hole here at Kolar like?
15th, when we talk about the 15th, Rahul, this is like, it's a dog leg, right? Here, the golfers have two options from the tee. Either you can play left of the fairway for a longer approach shot, or you can drive to avoid the fairway bunker. So there you have to be pretty accurate. And then you can also risk going out of bounds on the right side of the fairway. So there is a large green which is sloped from the front to the back. Now here again, the way you hit your approach shot again, it holds the key because you have to measure it. You can't just let go. So in terms of distance, the 15th one, it is 410 par 4. And you have to be accurate to avoid the bunker on the left side of the green. So that's how.
Tamang here draining a birdie on the 15th hole and gives a little touch the tip of the cap and does a little subtle fist pump there. Kind of like Jaan Mein Jaan Aayi made his birdie here on the 15th after a couple of drop shots before that on the 13th hole especially.
More out of relief than rejoice, but of course, once you drain a putt like that, I'm sure.
Courses like these, Mr. Rao, I can tell you as a player, can be pretty hard to play on. In fact, through the end of the day, when you get past the 18th hole, you're literally like wondering, like, oof, thank God,
Another day gone.
right?
Yeah.
And you're pretty much holding your breath through the
Yeah.
whole day.
Okay.
It's that tough some days on the course, especially with wind, with tough rough. It's quite something. You could really come out of a round like this tired, mostly mentally than physically.
Very true. Very true. But as a pro, I think golfers want to be challenged. No? Instead of going to a course where everybody is hitting like 18 under, 20 under, 25 under, I'd rather be on a course and be challenged and see how good you are in conditions that really challenge you.
100%. I think players really rejoice being in those kind of challenging conditions. And talking about challenging conditions, Shaurya Bhattacharya has made a birdie on hole number 16 to move up to 8 under par to take his lead to 5 shots over the Olympian Udayan Mane. And that's the penultimate group with Dhruv Shoran and Shaurya Bhattacharya, as well as Kshitij Naved Kaul, all youngsters on our screen. And yes, definitely, Rakesh, to sort of enhance on what you spoke about earlier. Yes, you would definitely find players rejoicing to play tough courses in tough conditions way more than they would be, in easy conditions. They would pretty much, the good players will revel in it. And the only thing is, I think the only thing that a player is looking for is fair conditions, fair pin positions. No matter how tough the course is, as long as the conditions are fair to everyone, I think players completely rejoice a tough course like this one.
Yeah, see, we have been told that that every day you'll have six tough positions of the pin. Six will be medium, and six will be a little easier. Is that very subjective, or is there a standardized way of placing the pins?
No, absolutely. The pretty much this is the standardized way
Yeah,
actually. Six
yeah,
six six is the standardized way of placing them.
yeah.
But give or take one odd from somewhere, right?
Okay.
So I wouldn't think that a tournament director exactly is looking for six tough and six
Yeah,
easy and six mediums.
yeah.
But more or less in that ballpark, there will be a few tough flags, there'll be a few easy flag locations, and a few medium flag
Medium
locations.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah, might not be to the T. Well, no pun intended. They're all on the green.
True.
Seems like Jairaj has found the water hazard there. More like a marshland. My apologies, that's not Jairaj, but Kshitij Naved call. But more like a marshy area kind of thing, which is marked with red stakes, which makes it a hazard. Probably can even play from there if he likes. And going quickly through that leaderboard, we've got Shaurya Bhattacharya leading the way at 8 under par for the tournament, 6 under par for the day. Udayan Mane follows him at 3 under par. We've got 3 players tied up at 2 under, Hani Besoya, Dhruv Shoran, as well as Nepal's Subhash Tamang. Tapinder Ghai and Kshitij Naved Kaul at 1 under par.
That's Udayan Mane on the 16th green now. Now the 16th green again. It's a beautiful looking green, surrounded by rocks on three sides. There's a bunker on the left, so one has to be again. You and the distance is 210. So off the 16th green, you got to just ensure that how accurate you are to avoid all these hazards which are waiting. But I think if you go on to the right of the green, now that is where the challenge is. The whole idea is that if you can get to the right side of the green here with a measured shot, because it's a par three, so you don't have too many options. You put everything on your tee shot, and of course it's a large green. That's the only saving grace. But then again, you have to get to the right position, otherwise you won't be on the green.
And if you wonder what will happen in case you miscue a shot and hit one of those boulders, you'll have to play the ball as it lies, pretty much wherever it ricochets to. Whether it goes straight into the hazard next to the boulder right there, or whether it ricochets back 100 yards away from the hole. Wherever it lands up, you've got to still play from there. Quick word also on our other sponsors. IndusInd Bank Limited has been redefining banking for the past 30 years and has been a force for progression, innovation, offering an elevated banking experience for its diverse range of stakeholders, including government entities, PSUs, retail customers, as well as large corporations. So we take a look on our screens. We've got Manu Gandas sizing up his putt here. The IndusInd Bank also caters to the growing Indian diaspora with representative offices in London, Dubai, as well as Abu Dhabi. serves approximately 42 million customers through 3,063 branches across the country. Manu putting for birdie.
This seems to be an uphill one, so he needs to get the distance right here.
Manu playing in the third leader group alongside left-handed Karthik Sharma and Hani Besoya. Manu didn't really get that the speed right. Well, tap that one in.
How often have you seen that wherever there is an uphill putt, golfers, no matter how experienced they are, they tend to leave it a bit short rather than, going for the pin. And as we have heard in golf, never up, never in. So unless you get the distance right, you will never have the chance of getting the ball in that
Well,
first attempt.
now that you say it, I think you might be absolutely right. I think one of the reasons probably that players don't really knock it up too far ahead of the hole is because they'll be coming back downhill to putt back. So they're actually trying to get that speed right by keeping that putt perhaps slightly firmer than they would like to. Uh, have a look at our superstars of the PGTI. Take a look at Gerard Sandhu really walking up. His eyes set straight on the prize. We have Arjun Prasad really entering like Singham. Walking in like Singham.
Rahul,
Straight
this is the newly built clubhouse, inaugurated a few days back. Really, really a beautiful place to relax after a long days, after a long tough round.
And there we have the president of the PGTI, Kapil
The
Dev,
second round was only
kicking
completed
that
today
door
morning
open,
due
is
to
he?
heavy downpour towards the end of day 2. Nepal's Subhash Samang.
There you go, Kapil Dev. He had aspired to represent India at the Asian Games. In fact, he's a very good single-digit handicapper. I think he plays to a handicap of 2. Known to be a very quick player and loves his golfing grounds. Plays a lot of golf around the Delhi NCR region. As we take a look at Kshitij Naved Kaul, as mentioned earlier, a little bit like a marshland where he's playing from there. Marked with red stakes, so it's a hazard area, but very much a playable place to be. He has to get a clean contact from here with the ball. Otherwise, would not get the right distance. I think the only time that Kshitij seems to be a little emotive is when he just about hits a shot. And other than that, you hardly see any of emotions popping out of him. We've got Dhruv Shoran coming up from the left side of the fairway. Looking at it very intently. Dhruv Shoran currently at -2 for the tournament.
Shaurya now enjoys a 5-shot lead, and with Mane looking a little circumspect through the last few holes. He hasn't been looking at his best. He's been struggling a bit with the short game there, and Shaurya sitting pretty with a 5-shot cushion.
Well, I think Udayan just had a bit too much of blemishing on that front part of the course today, with bogeys on 6, 7, 8, and 9. I think it seems like something which he couldn't quite stop, and came in with 2 birdies on 10th and the 12th, and then dropped one quickly on the 13th hole. But he still has a lot of golf to be played. He's got 21 holes to go. And like I said, it's pretty much still anyone's day over here, and anyone's tournament, in a matter of speaking. We've got Udayan Mane now on our screen. Udayan currently is playing hole number 16th, the par 3, and this is his putt for birdie. In fact, a terrific tee shot that Udayan has come up with over here. Hole number 16th is a 210-yard par 3. Mane, of course, would have no troubles in hitting a 210-yard tee shot. Probably would have gone up with a 7-iron or so, owing to his stature. And Mane find the bottom of the cup and reduce the gap between him and Bhattacharya. Looks like a solid putt. Has he got enough pace on it? And he has. Udayan Mane with a birdie on hole number 16 to move up to 4 under par, reducing the gap between him and Bhattacharya to 4 shots.
That was a nice curling putt from where we saw it.
Here we have another
Very
look
well
at
done.
it.
There you are.
Big breaker there. Nearly a grip and a half movement from the ball from the left to the right. Hardly of maybe 12 or 14 feet was that putt. And that gives you, the viewers, a good sense of how tough must it be to putt on these greens if the ball from about 10 feet away or 12 feet away is breaking nearly a grip and a half, which if I was to sort of break it down, you're looking at about 14 inches or so of break. Jairaj Sandhu. Jairaj Sandhu not quite having the day he would have wished for. 3 over par for the day and level par for the tournament at this moment. Unfortunately, doesn't seems like he's not being able to get a breather. Knocks that one in for a par. Subhash Tamang trying to feel the ground with his feet and make a bit of a calculation using the technique of aim point to understand the line. Right, each player has a different way of reading the line and understanding the contours on the course. Aim point just happens to be one of those methods. In a very peculiar way of for Tamang, he actually makes a practice stroke on the other side of the ball. Unlike most players, you would find them making their practice stroke on the inside of the ball. He's different, isn't he? Unfortunately, that's quite a miss there for Tamang. That'll be a drop shot for Subhash right after a birdie on hole number 15.
Looking at the like those who have just broken par, there are just 7 players, 7 to 8 max, because after the cut was applied there were only 8 subpar scores, and now we are towards the end of round 3 and there hasn't been much change in that number. Just from 8 it has become 7 now. And for Subhash to drop a shot, again, one among those subpar scorers for the tournament so far, this could be a little costly, because the leaderboard, barring Shaurya, the leader, it looks quite tight. About 6 players separated by a shot. So there, if he really, can't really afford to miss a shot from such a close distance. So he'll have to make up now. He'll have to make things happen. He just can't wait for things to happen.
Well, the 17th hole, this long par 4. Kshitij Naved call coming up short with their long putt. Pretty much was unhappy with it from the get-go as soon as he struck the ball. As we take a look at the leader, Bhattacharya, coming up from about 15 feet short of the hole. Putting for birdie. Shaurya Bhattacharya to go to 9 under par. He knocks that one in, nice and proper, moving himself to 9 under par for the tournament. Increase the lead by a shot. Dhruv Shoran about 6 feet away from the hole. Another look here at Shaurya's putt. Nicely right in the middle of the cup.
This has been a dream day for Shaurya. Just imagine on a course where people are struggling to go beyond, four, a lead of four, or maybe four under for the day as the best card, five under for the day. He has opened up a six-shot lead, and of course with a new course record for the asking.
But Dhruv Shoran there now coming up from about 6 feet away. Look for this ball to move slightly from the left to the right as it appears from the slope, the way it looks from our side of the camera. Putting for bogey, as is told to us from the ground staff. Fortunately, that will not be. Seems like the wheels are coming off this wagon as of now. For those of you who are just joining us, just take a look at Kshitij Naved call now putting for par on the 17th as he makes his way into the final hole. This is to stay at 1 under par for the tournament. Nice putt there for Kshitij. Ladies and gentlemen, who all are just joining us, this is the Kolar Open 2025 powered by Zion Hills. Zion Hills Golf County is a golf course and a township just outside of Bengaluru in the town of Kolar. Kolar is an old gold mining town, as is told to me by Mr. Rao, who sits right beside me. Is a sports journalist and has the good fortune of spending some time at the golf course just last month. The Zion Hills is hosting its first ever professional golf tour of India event. This is the 49th venue on the Indian land for the PGTI and the 53rd venue overall for the tour. The tournament carries a prize purse of 1 crore rupees, currently led by Shaurya Bhattacharya. The par for the course here is at 72. The course is a pretty long and arduous course, playing to very tough conditions this week, of 7,330 yards, making it one of the longer courses out in the country, and very windy over the last 3 days, and that's been one of the toughest challenges for the players. And also the rains that came in yesterday. In fact, 30 of the players in the field had to come down this morning to actually finish up their second rounds. As we take a look at Hani Besoya, Hani's left himself just short and right of the 18th green over here. Could Hani have reached up here, Mr. Rao, in 2 shots?
Yeah, it's really inviting the sort of hole where you got to just let go, as we all know that this is the longest par 5 hole on the circuit, 660 yards from the tee. It allows you the liberty to. It actually allows you the liberty to really go all out. If you are a long hitter, you can actually, let it, use the like use your favorite driver to just go on, because unlike most of the greens on the back nine, this is quite wide, so you still have that liberty. You don't have to save yourself from any kind of danger there. It allows you that freedom, all right, but then still 660 yards, and people have to go with a really long approach shot as well.
Nice shot there for Hani Besoya coming from off the green, giving himself a good look at that putt from just about 5 feet away. And talking about reaching up to the green and being a long hitter, I think you'd have to be a long hitter and a half to reach 660 yards in 2 shots. And if the wind's blistering like that, you might need 2 long hitters. Maybe you need Jason Zubak inside you right at that moment.
Yeah. If you want to get your act right, like 2 on and 2 putts there for a birdie, that means you've got to be, like a long hitter and a half, as you very rightly said.
And just to confirm it, Shaurya Bhattacharya actually made a birdie on the 17th from the putt that we saw in replay, and has moved himself to 9 under par. And Udayan Mane also made a birdie on hole number 16, which got him up to 4 under par. So Shaurya maintains his lead at 5 shots. We take a look at Karthik Sharma here. Karthik also has a very peculiar way of understanding the putting green. He's quite emotive, if I may. That creates a lot of gestures from his hands to understand what kind of a green he's playing and how he feels regarding it. And as you can tell there, you can tell there from his emotions and the gestures through his hands as he tries to show what kind of a line it's going to be.
Rahul, we spoke about the 18th. Now here, 660 yards, very unusual sort of a length for par 5. If we go back to yesterday's round, Vasu Sehgal got an eagle there. And a number of people, I think should I say, about out of the top 9 on the leaderboard after round 2, the top 7 had birdies on the 18. So it is not such a challenging one, but as far as the the index goes, I think it is 2. I think on the index.
Well, by the number, which is the index, as well as the 660 yards, I think Vasu Sehgal probably did. I have no idea what he's done. He's done some sort of a Herculean task there, and probably in the Indian manner, probably more like a Shaktiman to have gone through 660 yards and made an eagle. As we take a look at Manu Gandas, Manu seems to will have to come over this little hillock that is there on the green to reach up close to the flag, and maybe he was fueled up by all the protein shakes from Amul, and maybe that's what really helped him. That's a possibility, and there you have it. Manu Gandas, a player who plays most of his trade now on the DP World Tour, gets that ball to given distance, no trouble.
When covering a distance of 660, doing it in 3 is quite amazing.
Well, I'd be pretty happy doing it in 3 shots, actually, to be honest. No, I wouldn't be.
It's amazing.
I think I know plenty of players. Even if you gave them a 700-yard par 5, they'd find a way to get it up there, no matter what. And if they can't, they'll probably not sleep for a couple of nights. Just because it's a par 5, you just think of it like you want to get it up as close to the green as possible. Like that's just the mindset.
Yeah.
Karthik Sharma. As you take a look at his putting stroke, Karthik has been a very consistent player on the PGTI.
It would be, very, very interesting to see all these top guys on this course this week. The kind of greens and regulations they've had, how many putts for the for each round, because these numbers are going to be a lot different than what we've seen in the past 3 weeks.
Absolutely. In fact, just a quick run through for our viewers of what is happening on the order of merit. Yuvraj Sandhu currently leads the way with his last victories, 2 back-to-back victories that he had past few weeks. So Yuvraj Sandhu leads the way at 88 lakhs and 67,000 rupees on that leaderboard, followed by Arjun Prasad, who is 63 lakhs and 23,800 rupees on that leaderboard, followed by Angad Chima, Udayan Mane, and Joshua Berry, who sits pretty at number 5. Draining that one in is Hani Besoya. Hani has been trying to find form of his own for the past few months, and he's happy that he's been able to find some of it from the first half of this year. Currently ranked at 16th on the order of merit is Hani Besoya, with a total prize purse earning this year of 24,81,000 rupees, nearly 25 lakh rupees. It's funny. I'll tell you a good story about this. There have been times when we've had players who were at the top 60 and at the 60th or the 61st position, and the player's like just 1,000 rupees off from keeping his card. It's incredible. The players are like, I'll give the 1,000 rupees. But unfortunately, even if you were 1 rupee short of the top 60, so you're 1 rupee short of the top 60. You don't get any consolation prizes for that. You take a look at Karthik Sharma. Karthik has had a fairly good career so far on the Pro Tour. This year has been a bit slow for him, currently at a rank of 41st on the order of merit. So, could this week be a week of history for the PGT of India if Karthik Sharma and Jairaj Sandhu both were to finish within the top 10? I'm not so sure if that's happened before, but would that be something to have two lefties in the top 10 for this week?
Rahul, you spoke about people making, giving everything for that last 1,000 rupees to be in the top 60. The
Hi,
point is
I am
that,
Manish Thakran, professional
you
golfer
reminded-
on PGTI. The journey is being good. I started playing golf in my college days. Back then I used to play basketball, football. I represented a school in national level in basketball and football. Golf attracted me because it's an individual game and it's you versus you only. In amateur days I used to play on amateur feeder tour. I won tournaments. Just after that I qualified for the main amateur tournaments. The competition is obviously very high. The victory means a lot to me. In COVID time we bought a new house and we have a practice area there as well. So I practice a lot in COVID time and that helped me a lot in my main amateur circuit, and soon after I turned pro. So we have 6 greens and 6 different tees. So basically it is a chip putt course, but like we can play maximum of 7 irons. Dimension is 10 yards width and 10 yards length. I am a car enthusiast, so I like cars. More of I like sports cars. No one in my family ever played golf. All thanks to PGTA giving the opportunity.
I'm sorry, sir. My mistake.
पर हम भी जिद्दी है मुश्किल खड़ी है खोले सीना सामने चट्टान है मेरी जिद का बोले पसीना चट्टानों के अंदर आसमान है जिद क्या पावाली जिद क्या पावाली जिद क्या पावाली जिद.
What a great shot! But he looks tired. And that's a drinks break.
But what's the plus sign for? अमृतांजन इलेक्ट्रो प्लस. जब लगे थकान वाली प्यास, जरूरी है सेल लेवल हाइड्रेशन. इसके इलेक्ट्रोलाइट्स आपके सेल्स को रिहाइड्रेट करें, एनर्जी लौटाएं, थकान वाली प्यास मिटाएं.
जब आपको भी लगे थकान वाली प्यास, अमृतांजन इलेक्ट्रो प्लस. थकान वाली प्यास के लिए.
पढ़ता है, खेलता है, झूलता उछलता है, दौड़ता कभी कभी दौड़ कराता है, आगे आगे बढ़ता है इंडिया, अमूल दूध पीता है इंडिया.
Back to the action here at the Kolar Open, presented by Zion Hills Golf County. We are here just outside of Bengaluru by about an hour and a half here in the town of Kolar, playing the inaugural Kolar Open for a prize purse of 1 crore rupees, with Shaurya Bhattacharya leading the way at 9 under par. As we move, is also mentioned to all of the other sponsors of the PGT of India, the tour partners like Amrutanjan Electro Plus. Amrutanjan Healthcare is a 127-year-old company with a rich legacy and is best known for its iconic brand, Amrutanjan Pain Balm. A purpose-driven and innovative company, Amrutanjan Healthcare offers a versatile product portfolio. And in fact, Amrutanjan's Electro Plus is a rehydrating drink. It is extremely tasty. And more than that, it replenishes all the electrolytes that you need while you play a round of golf, or in fact you go out for a walk or you sweat it out for a run. Amrutanjan Electro Plus is your go-to drink. It's a juice-based electrolyte drink offered first time in India, and it's offered in a convenient little bottle, rehydrates, energizes, and helps you regain the electrolytes. Odyan Mane, apparently, as news flows in, has lost the golf ball here on the 17th, and perhaps one needs to figure out whether it's deemed to be in the hazard / the creek that we saw there, or has someone seen it getting pitched up elsewhere. In fact, Amritanjan Electro Plus also facilitates recovery from some ailments which are related to loss of electrolytes. Alongside this, must also mention the long association with Rolex. Rolex has been associated with golf since 1967 when Arnold Palmer became a Rolex testimony. In fact, we all from the yesteryears would remember the posters of Arnold Palmer and the Rolexes. Today's Rolex is not only associated with the most important prominent bodies of governing golf worldwide, but also with the principal professional golf tours across the world. We have Subhash Tamang. Nice little fist bump there with his caddy and friend. And of course, Amul, the latest tour partner for the PGTI. Amul, a name which is very well known. And there we have Subhash Tamang's action replay. Seems like he would have also had some Amul and Amritanjan Electro Plus today on the course. So Amul is India's largest food brand and the largest dairy company globally. An iconic brand, Amul has helped the country emerge as the world's largest milk producer. It's a household name in India and plays a pivotal role as a tour partner for the PGTI. In fact, any of you listening, and including me, Amul is definitely a household name, be it butter, be it cheese, be it their protein drinks or their curd, the milk, you name it, and you'll have it from Amul. Udayan Mane seems to be slightly distressed there. Some sort of a resolution seems to have come up there between Udayan and the tournament director, Sampath having a little chatter. Sampath has been the tour tournament director here at the PGTI for many years. In fact, he has actually refereed in more than 100 tournaments. Is that right, Shivas?
More than 900 tournaments, if I remember correctly.
I think 900 plus, and I think that's a world record in itself, Rahul.
Yeah.
It's a tremendous stat, and I keep waxing eloquent about Sampath. Not only is he a tremendous asset to the PGTI, but he's an outstanding human being, and more power to him. A lot of respect from his peers, the industry guys, and fellow golfers in general.
Talking about power, Shivas, I think you have a lot of power in your words, and if I could request you now to come and join us here in the commentary area.
Very kind, Rahul, and it's nice to have our fun banter going as well, because there's always some action and some information that emerges from the fun we have. So, of course, bringing up the conversation about Sampath was the Udayan situation, and looks like he's obviously lost his ball. Playing alongside his playing partners were typically just waiting up for him now. Subhash Tamang likely his marker, because we saw Sampath having a conversation with him. Rakesh, even the elevation changes on this course are quite significant, because the 18th green on our screen right now, I can't help but notice how much above in terms of elevation it sits on the rest of the course.
Yeah, 18th is, it's one of the, it is deemed to be one of the toughest finishing course, holes in India. But if you look at the scores, it doesn't seem to suggest it, at least this week and so far. But yeah, it has a unique, double dog leg design. That is right from the tee to the green. You have to keep thinking. You can't just take anything for granted. The tee shots are aimed at avoiding the hazard on the left side of the fairway, and the second shot needs to avoid the fairway bunkers on the left side, and the third shot has to be played uphill to a large green. It's a three-tiered green there, as you can see, and the flag position, if it is towards the back, as we see here, it can be a little more difficult, because then you always have the danger of going out of, you can actually go OB there, and there's a large bunker on the left side of the green. So as you approach the green, you've got to be thinking, all the time, because of course much depends on the position of the pin on that day. But yeah, it is a challenging one. But looking at the numbers, I mean, I'm quite surprised that the way the golfers have negotiated with the challenge, and the way they have dealt with it in the last 3 days. The number of birdies and the percentage of birdies, and including of, I mean, it also has one eagle to show, as we saw yesterday. So they have done a pretty good job, I must say.
I think you're right. Also, it's very important to take into account where the pin has been cut, because there are some pin positions that are a lot more accessible, and particularly for the guys who may not get to the green and two, as you and Rahul were talking about the brutes on tour. And then, of course, it's very important to lay it up or place your second shot at a spot from where you can, hit a wedge shot from a distance that you're actually comfortable with. That said and done, of course, Bangalore being elevated, the air is a little thinner. So the ball does tend to fly half a club longer.
Yeah.
And again, on screen we have our overnight, our current leader, Shaurya, who, in fact, if I remember yesterday, on his second last hole, made a penta. And only leaves me to think, if not for that, of course, hindsight is 2020, how far up against the rest of the field he would be. He's really got a very good handle on this course, for sure.
Yeah, he started the day 2 shots behind Udayan, and now he's 5 shots ahead of the overnight leader, or rather this morning's leader. So quite something for Shaurya.
Just barely misses his putt. That, of course, is Kshitij on screen right now. And, I wonder, of course, we were alluding to the fact that Shaurya does a lot of work and trains with Rahul, but Dhruv Shuran, who's also part of the same flight alongside Kshitij, Dhruv also does a lot of work with Rahul. So it's pretty cool to see two stablemates sparring it out together in the same group.
True. So now we are reaching the closing stages of day 3, with the leader in the penultimate flight doing what he has done all day. He's been hitting pretty close. His shot game looks almost flawless, and he has not been in danger of dropping a shot in the last, over the last few holes. So, a true leader, a 5-shot cushion as we see him ready to sign off.
Dhruv, of course, unfortunately, has had 2 double bogeys on the back 9, and that has obviously hurt him. But it's quite interesting, Rakesh, to see a smattering of double and triple bogeys on the scorecards of a lot of players. So it's typically something that talks a lot about the fact that the tee placement needs to be very precise, because if they end up hitting it out of bounds or into a hazard, then that's where the doubles and the triples are really piling up from.
Sure.
Well, that's Kshitij for a birdie. Well, he did, I believe, get to the green in 2, because as he suggested, this is a birdie putt. He just made his first putt and left himself a couple of feet. So again, he is a big boy. He hits it pretty long.
So with Shaurya
Well done.
finishing at -8 for the day with the last round bogey, Mane has a chance to cut that lead a bit. He can slice maybe
Mane
a shot.
himself is in a bit of trouble on the 17th.
Yes, that is
as we
that's
saw.
a problem.
So
Yeah.
I kind of have a feeling that Shaurya is pulling himself away from the field, and Udayan has obviously a lot in the tank.
Hania is also signed off, so bogeyed the last hole.
That was Shaurya who bogeyed the last. He will, of course, still remain as
So
our
that was his second
overnight leader.
second dropped shot on the back 9, which was dotted with five birdies and two bogeys.
And eight birdies for the round.
Eight
That's
birdies
a
for the
lot of
round. It's
birdies.
fantastic. Yeah, he had a flawless front nine, three birdies to show, and then he added three more hat trick of birdies just after the turn. So Shaurya has had a fantastic run.
But he would certainly be, disappointed with the bogey six on the last,
Yeah.
given the fact that's a par five, and a lot of his players have also actually managed to pick up shots there.
True.
Well, there we are then. Not really sure, what he's putting for at the moment, but we did see that he had a lost ball off the tee, so it's likely a bogey putt.
At least Shaurya will have the satisfaction should Udayan drop a shot here, because he came onto the 18th green with a 5 shot lead, and by the time he signs his card, he'll still hold on to that 5 shot lead. So you never know. That's the way the ball rolls for you on some day. It's not necessarily for you, but also for your nearest rival.
Oh, Udayan seems to be having a birdie putt on the 17th. That sounds a bit strange, because we were aware, unless he found his ball subsequently and they were just looking at the time taken to locate the ball. All very interesting. Not enough respect for that putt. It breaks off to the left. Well, Udayan is a gritty customer and demonstrates the zid that one of our co-sponsors, Campa, alludes to as part of their campaign. Campa powers your zid, and it's the spark behind your zid. Certainly the fuel as well and the fizz as well. So we'd love to see Udayan actually have this left for par rather than anything else. So it's not like he goes away or gives away a shot to the leader. Well done, Udayan. And speaking, of course, of Zid from Campa, a word about our other tour partner, IndusInd Bank. IndusInd Bank Limited has been redefining banking for the past 3 decades and has been a force in progression and innovation in our country, offering a high, elevated level of a banking experience. The bank also caters to the growing Indian diaspora with representative offices in London, Dubai, and Abu Dhabi. IndusInd Bank serves 42 million customers through 3,063 branches. And there we have our updated leaderboard. Shaurya at 8 under, Udayan at 4 under. Honey by Soya also almost got to the 18th green in 2, chipped it dead and finished at 3 under with a birdie there. And Kshitij solid at 2 under. Tapik Ghai and Subhash Tamang at 1 under each apiece. And Manoj, Karthik Sharma and Manu Gandas at even par for the tournament.
So it leaves only 6 subpar scores, after 8 players started with subpar scores at the start of round 3. So the course is slowly and definitely having its revenge on a lot of these golfers.
Oh, this course definitely has teeth, Rakesh.
Certainly,
Definitely has
certainly.
teeth.
And I'm sure by the time the tournament ends tomorrow, a lot of golfers are going to leave Kolar with a lot of respect to the course.
And a bit of relief, if I may add.
Absolutely, no question about it.
There we have 18th tee, great visual, the beautiful rolling mountains at the back. That is young Gerard Sandhu. Easy to pick on the screen given the fact that he's left-handed, and that looks like a very solid tee shot. So we have literally one group now left on the course today. And it's a good thing that the Rains haven't played spoil sport today. They've managed to get their round done on time. We had almost 10 flights yesterday, 5 from each half. The 10th tee and the first tee, who was still stranded on the golf course when the rains kicked in, and they had to come back this morning to complete their rounds.
Yeah, at least we can be sure of the fact that tomorrow we'll straight away start the day with round 4, and we don't have any backlog of round 3. So
Well, I'm personally
rain
very
gods have,
relieved with that because I have a flight to catch. I'm sure many of the players out there
yeah,
do as well.
yeah, rain gods have at least ensured that they spare us the agony of waiting for the
Indeed.
round to start. Yeah. So
Yeah, well, they're sizing this up. Beautiful swing, solid tempo. Really, really gets into the ball. The wind, the breeze seems to have tapered off a bit. Just looking at the trees and some of the bushes, they're not really bending over or being blown.
good observation there, because I think the conditions have improved, and the players can let the ball stay up for a bit longer instead of looking to hit low. But yes, for long hitters, this has been some kind of boon. At least they can finish the round strongly. All those who have you know played in the last few holes in the last, say, half an hour or so. So for them, there is an opportunity, because before that we did see the wind playing havoc. But now, of course, I think it has steadied, and the golfers would be thankful for that.
So Jairaj, of course, part of this group, having a bit of a rough day out there today. He's 5 over for the day. Here,
About our lady caddies.
glorious
Lady
visuals
caddies here
about
are a very
lady
special,
caddies, yeah.
rather unique feature in an Indian context. So there were really two drivers for us to go down this path. Firstly, when we came to Kolar and started setting up a golf course here, the upliftment of the local community was a very important part of our agenda, and that included women upliftment. So we had employed a number of women as part of our workforce. About half our workforce were women. We found them very sincere, responsible, stable, hardworking. So that was one driver. The second was our own situation where we needed caddies primarily for the weekends. Rather than just hiring weekend people, we said, why don't we look at our existing maintenance staff and see whether some of them want to caddy, and asked our ladies whether they would like to caddy. Initially, there was quite a few bottlenecks. Firstly, our ladies are shy. Language was a barrier, and given a more conservative rural mindset, we didn't know whether it would be acceptable. Second, from a player perspective, caddying in India is almost exclusively a male domain, so there was resistance from the players as well. But our ladies were game, and we went down that path. Today, we have about half our caddies are ladies. They're very good. In fact, about a month ago, the WGI winner used one of our lady caddies and credited her with as a reason for her win. Apparently, she used to insist the player drinking water every 3 holes, saying that stay hydrated, Kolar is dry.
Yeah, that was George, the man who actually dreamt of this course. He is an engineer from MSCT Bhopal, um, and had a great corporate career initially, and then of course he moved on. And he's very well traveled. He plays a bit of golf as well, and this has been his dream. And ever since the completion of the course, the moment it became an 18-hole course, the people behind Zion Hills, they actually started looking for to actually build this property in a way that they wanted to get onto the PGTI tour, and it didn't take them long, because the PGTI think tank deemed it fit that yes, now the course was ready to actually showcase at least one of the events to start with. And I'm sure they're going to stay here because of the kind of property they have, the kind of challenge, the kind of challenge that the golf course poses, which the golfers are going to love, and the kind of feedback that we are waiting for from the golfers. I'm sure there'll be a lot to look forward to, and all the pros who haven't made it this week to Kolar will be keen to return to this place, and just to see where they stand when up against a testing course.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Rakesh, for speaking about the owner, because to set up a course that has this sort of pedigree, hire a good designer, have unique and signature holes. Certainly, lends itself very well to the Indian golf landscape. So we have, of course, the final group on the 18th fairway, a little bit behind the penultimate group.
Yeah, if I may just add, the kind of grass that has been used on the green is the same that is in St. Andrews. And also, I'm sorry, not St. Andrews, the one which is used in the Augusta Masters. It's the same grass that has been used here.
Well, that's quite cool to pull it off, and it makes perfect sense to me because when I did play 9 holes, of course, several years ago on the course, I do remember and recall very vividly remarking to my playing partners and other friends in Bangalore that I have never seen more consistent uh, blades of grass across all the 9 greens. So that certainly makes absolute sense. And here we have young Subhash Tamang. He's got a fairway metal, and he's going to be absolutely sending this at the green. 2 under for the day. Very young fellow, but really hits it a mile. He seems to like it. He has a leg up in
Seems
the
to
air.
lost his balance just to be
Oh,
bit.
that's an absolute beauty. I think it's just on the front edge. It's very curious trying to figure out where exactly it ended up, but that certainly seemed like a really solid blow. It's very unique, Rakesh, when you see golfers in general, not just professional, the body language when they hit a good shot or a poor shot, how reactive it is, how emotive it is. It's quite an education within itself. All sorts of characters out there.
Yeah, sports needs characters no matter at what level you are. If you want to make it happen, if you want to enjoy sports, if you want to be in the field of play, you got to have characters around, and that's what I think brings in the spectators. It's what the stories are all about. The stories are built around these names. So I've, having spent close to 4 decades in sports, being, seeing the making of a sports person, having seen a few, generation of champions, I can very safely say that if you take away the characters, if you ensure that they're
That's
just,
doesn't seem to
yeah,
be a good swing by over there, and he seems to have yanked it left. But
it's still
it's
traveling.
over the back. It's over the back,
Yeah.
left side. He's not happy. And that was something that is going to lead to a very interesting little chip shot. And here we have Yang Sandhu. Interesting, he's got an iron going in, but the graphite shaft me- allows me to believe it's probably a very long driving iron. But obviously, the distances that these youngsters are hitting it, the very fact that he can get to this green with an iron,
There you are.
and there you are. This speaks wonders for their physical fitness and their self belief, of course, notwithstanding the amount of hard work that these youngsters put in over the years leading up to these moments.
It'll be interesting to see whether Udian can hold par here, because he seems to be in a slightly awkward position.
Well, given that's a par 5 and he's two
Yeah,
there,
I
I don't
think so,
really
yeah.
not concerned about the par part of it.
I think his first part is important if he's still on the green, and then very basically.
Here we have a reel, with the highlights of the day. Young Hariman Mohan, BPGC boy, my home club. He's been training here at Sion Hills for a long time. Country City. A very good spectator and a good guy.
All part of the moments.
Yes, young South. Personally, I'm absolutely, touched and delighted with the conversation with John. Of course, Professor John was talking about caddies, lady caddies, and it augurs really well for bringing in local patronage, local villagers, giving their folks, giving their people jobs. That's something that's also been done very well in Navi Mumbai, very close to my home club PPGC at the new Kargar Valley Golf Club. All the jobs, right from running the driving range, the starters, the caddies, the support staff, it's all the villagers, and that's augurs so well because you're raising their level of employment, their life, and it keeps things awesome. Yeah, very simple, very awesome,
Very true.
and raises all boats in the water.
Absolutely, very well said. And I think George had that vision to ensure that he does things for the society. It is not about growth, about growing a golf club or just chasing his dream. He had a very inclusive sort of an approach,
You must,
and you can actually see that happening.
and that just is, it's a very good message, and it takes a lot of hard work, because you're training these people literally from scratch. And I was talking about the Karnataka Valley at Sitco, so it's awesome that the PGTI will be having an event there um, in December this year. And that course as well, completed its back nine, so as to put it, about a year ago, and will make for a lovely venue. It's 7,300 yards. I played there a bit. It's up in the hills, a lot of elevation changes, a lot of breeze as well, because like any other young course, the trees haven't grown up to full potential. So it can be quite a task. I would love to see how the big boys do there. It's wonderful that PGTI is making the effort to bring in new courses. This season alone, I think 3 or 4 new venues have been
New
added.
venues have been
And
added. True.
as the flag bearer for Indian professional golf in the country, I think it's just doing a tremendous job.
Yeah, already 49 courses within India. I'll be very interested. I mean, very curious to know the 50th on the list. The next one,
That
as
might
and when
just
it
be
gets
from my
added.
home
Yeah.
city in Mumbai at the Kargar Valley. Now that you bring in that stat, and you're quite the statistician, aren't you?
Yeah, because there's always a difference between 49 and 50, as it is, say, 99 and 100. People remember the 100th run or 100th, 100 as a number.
Yes, indeed.
So 49, of course, is good, but 50 is better.
Absolutely. And a quick word, of course, from our side on Victoria's Choice, who's also a tremendous tour partner. They've really raised the game for the professional tour and the professionals with their support and providing the players' lounge. A great new addition to every tournament, where there's a beautiful menu laid out in a lovely dining area for breakfast and lunch for the players. And these are small differences, Rakesh, that make the difference. The difference that makes the difference, where it's making it a far more inclusive tour, and it takes a lot of headaches out in terms of getting around, because as we know, sport is a tough, expensive journey. And you have to really fend for yourself out there.
Also a word about the staff there. They're so courteous, and they all were looking forward to the women's event, which was a kind of a precursor for this main event. And they were all very excited. And being there, I'm sure the players must have had a great time.
Absolutely right. It's all these new courses. They have great support staff, well trained, and dare I say, some excellent F&B as well. That's part of the entire experience for the members.
And of course, extremely courteous and respectful.
Absolutely.
They're there on purpose, and you have your space. You can,
Yeah, but as you were waxing eloquent about George, who's the owner,
Yeah.
and it all stems from there.
Yeah.
It's the leadership that determines the culture of any organization.
Absolutely.
So we've had Oden chip it up. He's got his flat stick, very long flat stick, I might add, in his hand. He'd love to make a birdie here and get to within 4 shots of our leader, Shaurya Bhattacharya. Sorry, I beg your pardon, 3 shots. It's 4 behind. I have Rahul next to me, and Rahul, why don't you tell our viewers about the 15-foot putt that Udayan has? What does he really have to keep in mind?
Well, first and foremost, I'm sure he's got on his mind how he's going to be closing in the gap on Shaurya for tomorrow, and of course, the lesser the gap, the better it is, because you don't want to be going in with like a pressure of holding up, like let's say 5 shots towards the leader. Suvash Tamang coming up from the front part of that green. Of course, he's using a putter from there. It's a long way up. About 40 yards in is a pin today on this hole. So Well, if some people are getting up there and making eagles, I don't know what they are eating. Probably must be all the protein shakes they are getting from Amul, because 660 yards plus 40 yards in from the front edges at flag location, and to top it all, the hole is also uphill. So, making it all the more challenging. Subhash Tamang coming up just shy of the hole there for his eagle attempt from the front of the green. Pretty happy with that attempt is Subhash. Subhash, of course, has played in a lot of hilly conditions because the Gokarna golf course in Nepal actually happens to be a very hilly golf course, and there also you've got bent grass on the green, so that makes it, there's makes it some amount of familiarity for him. In fact, coming from where he is, and of course he applies most of his practice here at Zion itself. We take a look at Jairaj Sandhu. Jairaj, pretty much a serious campaigner here on the golf course. In fact, from the montage that we saw earlier as well, he definitely has his eyes set on the prize. Coming up that hill, I think it's pretty tough to get that ball to come up 40 yards up from that front part, especially from 660 yards away. There's Jairaj at the right pace. It's plenty good a pace there for Jairaj, but he'd still have to contend with about 6 feet going back towards the hole, maybe 5. Just matters how good you are at speculation, isn't it, as a commentator?
Well, Rahul, it's easier done from our armchairs in air-conditioned comfort, right?
Absolutely, yes. I wouldn't mind being out there though with the good weather at Kolar, and of course it's windy. Of course it's tough, no doubting that. But I'd rather be out there for sure. So we take a look at Udayan. Udayan also seems to be applying up something to do with his feet to understand what kind of slope we have on the green for his particular putt. Seems like this ball is going to break a little bit from the left to the right. Shouldn't be too much of a break, but it'll come from outside of the hole for sure, coming out a little bit like a curler. He's trying to make this putt to make birdie here on this long par 5 18th hole. For those of you who have just about joined us, this, ladies and gentlemen, is the Kolar Open powered by Zion Hills. With a prize purse of 1 crore rupees, this is the first ever professional men's event that is happening here at the Zion Hills Golf County. We take a look at the Olympian Udayan Mane. It seems like my read was much lesser than Udayan is playing to. Udayan seems to be playing nearly 2 grips out towards the left. Look at how that ball's curling back. And wow, Udayan definitely seems to like these left-to-right putts quite a bit, going up to 5 under par for the tournament. And now, within striking distance, of course, just 3 shots away from the leader, Shaurya Bhattacharya.
And it really opens up, an exciting race tomorrow, because just 3 shots separating the top two. When the third round ended, only 2 strokes separated Mane and Shaurya. And well, the picture is the same now, because Shaurya is now 3 shots ahead of the leader of round two. So
So a nice little putt there for Jairaj Sandhu for a birdie here on the 18th hole. In fact, we're looking at a really interesting day coming up tomorrow for our spectators and for ourselves as well. Anyone even who's going to be walking there on the golf course. Tomorrow we have Shaurya Bhattacharya leading the way at 8 under par with Udayan Mane sitting pretty at 5 under par, so just 3 shots away, which is nothing for a course like this. We've got Hani Bersoya also at 3 under par, which is basically 5 shots away from the leader, and I wouldn't count him out either. And we've also got Kshitij Naved Kaul and Subhash Tamang both perched up at 2 under par. Subhash here, of course, is putting for birdie and might actually go and tie alongside Hani Bersoya after this penultimate round. There we have it. Subhash from the other side of the ball, trying to feel the putt, and then now he'll step back and putts it. Very different from what you would usually find. You'd usually find the player standing on the inside of the ball. Seems like his own method, and it seems to work. Subhash Tamang with a birdie here on the 18th, finishing up the third round at even par and 3 under par for the tournament. We have all the players, all smiles, finishing up their rounds. As a mark of gesture and as a mark of respect. All players would tip off their hats and shake hands with their fellow players. These are etiquettes of the game that have gone through centuries, and all the players follow it, and it's really well respected. These kind of etiquettes on the course. Take that aerial view of the Zion Hills Golf County, and we have that leaderboard up there for you to view. Par 72 golf course, 7,330 yards, one of the longest courses in the country and on the tour, with a brand new back nine and really tough conditions here to be navigated for the players. The PGTI's tournament, the Kolar Open 2025. We take a look at the highlights of the day. Shortly going into the highlights of the day from the penultimate round. Mohammad Azhar, a nice little right to lefter for him, jumps up quickly to pick it up. Just before it pops out back from the hole, we have Kshitij Naved Kaur also putting from a similar distance. Unfortunately, that wouldn't be popping back out of the hole. Shaurya Bhattacharya coming up from about 12 feet away. Knocks that one in, no problem. We have Jairaj Sandhu, man with the claw, and claws that one in all the way. Udayan Mane, the Olympian, counterbalancing his way to the bottom of the cup. Looking for a victory as soon as possible. Udayan Mane with just that loss in the playoff just last week. Gunning for his victory. Manu Gandas, that was on our screen. Subhash Tamang coming up for birdie. No problem there. Just a 180-degree flip and that goes in. Shaurya Bhattacharya on the 16th hole, the 210-yard par 3. Giving himself a good look at birdie over here with that tee shot. Stunning spinning there off the golf ball. We've got Subhash Tamang from Nepal. There we have him, gaining another birdie. Tamang now will give you a little bit of a fist pump, which he did quite silently, but the cameras have caught it. And Udayan Mane curling from the left seems like the kind of putts he likes. Left right curlers seem to be right up his alley. Shaurya Bhattacharya for birdie here on the 17th hole, draining it right in the middle of the cup. Take the lead up to 8 under par. 17th was 9 under par, my apologies. Until 18th, Subhash Tamang chipping that one in. That would definitely have to be one of the best chips we saw all day long. Udayan Mane there on the 18th hole to crawl up to 5 under par. Jairaj Sandhu also putting for birdie here on the 18th, making his way, reducing the damage a little bit, and now at 2 over par for the tournament. Tamang, of course, on our screen to finish at 3 under par for the day, for the day in total score for the penultimate round. Even par on this penultimate day was Subhash. That was our leader group, ladies and gentlemen, after the third round here at the Kolar Open. Shaurya Bhattacharya leads the way at 8 under par. Udayan Mane follows 3 shots away at 5 under par. Hani Besoya and Subhash Tamang at 3 under par. Kshitij Naved Kaur at 2 under and Tapendra Ghai at 1 under par. So we are looking forward to an exciting final day coming up on Friday, August 29th. There we have our leaderboard on your screens. Go on, you can also check out all the leaderboard for the players you might not be seeing on the screens. It's available at pgtofindia.com. All the information about the PGTI's tournaments, the live scoring, as well as any player information that you might like to know about your favorite players. You can also look that up on the pgtofindia.com website. And you can also check out their Instagram handles, all of the players. If you're a fan of any of these players, you can go along and check out their Instagram handles, their social media. All of it is up for the viewing. In fact, Mostly you will find golf at the end of their names, and that should be a pretty easy way to find them. So that'll be me, Rahul Bajaj, signing off now from the commentary box alongside my co-commentators, Shivasnath and Mr. Rao.
Well, thank you, Rahul. That was a great summation of today's play.